Hi, I'm good, how are you?
John's packet is in
He
there.
asked me, he asked me, business stuff.
Oh, no, it's, John's packet is in there.
No, I don't think I have anything that you're talking about. But happy to listen to whatever.
Mike, John's packet's in there. I looked at it.
You can't ask for more than that. very much. Welcome to the school committee meeting of Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. I always forget I need a motion to open before we even do the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, let's Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I know we have a chock-full agenda tonight. We'll do our best to get through it and get you out while it's still Tuesday. Couple things I just wanted to, as reminders or maybe updates. I don't know, has anybody scheduled their one-on-ones yet with Liz? Anyone done that yet? No? Okay, just a reminder.
Just my initial, like, new person one, that was it.
Okay, so the idea is you'd have two in the course of the year, so one before the end of the year, the calendar year would probably be good. Did everyone go through the Super Val software refresher?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you. When I spoke with Gretchen, I asked her, since I think the schedule is Liz will open up all the stuff to us, I think the beginning of March. So in February, we'll invite Gretchen to be on the screen here with us and take us through one more time what the next steps are going to be, just so it's all fresh in our minds.
When will we be doing that?
In February.
Oh, good.
Okay, and one of the things, and I'll speak with Superintendent Legault about, I meant to do it prior to this, but it makes sense, at least for me anyway, that there's some reference on our agendas to the goals that we're asking superintendent to achieve, and so maybe ahead of time, we can, which one do you want to talk about this week, this month, Liz?
Okay.
So, but I'm sorry to just mention that to you in the public forum, but we could talk about that separately and kind of work it out. To me, it just kind of makes sense that as a committee member, we can say, oh yeah, we talked about that on such and such a date, so. I did finally get a hold of MASC for the workshops that we requested. I meant to print them out, I'm sorry. I'll send you all an email, the list of the 4 that we identified. The MASC is very much behind because they haven't replaced Jim Hardy yet as a field rep. Our field rep is scheduled to come on schedule online in February, but we'll probably see him before then. I think Tracy will probably end up doing 1 or 2 of these workshops with him so that he's kind of up to speed. But I don't have dates yet, and she's going to get back to me about that. And I don't know, the whole idea behind, related to our 1 meeting a month, is so that, A, it frees up time for subcommittee meetings, so you're not totally bottlenecked. But the other piece is to, as part of this, is to get the material out reasonably in advance so that you have a chance to look through it and ask any questions. And I don't know if that's working yet, or it's still things that we're kind of get used to. But that's the whole idea. I know you get, in this case, you get a lot of stuff ahead of time, but if you have questions, you can either direct them through me or through Liz, or make sure that you get an answer so that, again, it kind of helps with the meeting, so you can have your answers even before you sit down, so. And the annual calendar update that's on my notes, I think it's on the new goals for the committee, right, Ellen? I think you or somebody reminded me about the annual calendar update.
Oh, yes.
Since we're now, okay. I have those notes. I tried to get that done before our next meeting. And we're in the process of replacing Michael. Michael has asked to resign as our recording secretary. I don't know, I forget the title. Clerk, thank you. Recording clerk. So, done a great job. He's got a lot on his plate. So, I think, Liz, you said you have a couple of people interested, and so by the time we have another meeting,
We
we'll have.
posted it right when Michael's resignation came in.
Right.
It's posted in-house first, and then if we didn't get any in-house, then we would put out, but we did get some candidates.
Oh,
And so we
super.
will have them in place, and as I just said to you,
Yep,
we'll talk about it, and then we'll have it in place for the next meeting.
great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. I know that's not easily done. Public comments. Anyone here for public comments? No? I only see one public, so, okay.
It's Ainsley's ride.
That's it.
Okay. Well, to that effect, we'll ask Ainsley to go next so that you can warm up the car. Go ahead, Ainsley. What's the latest update?
So at the Central School, the second graders are enjoying the water-wise safety lessons at the YMCA. It's a 5-week program on Tuesdays and Thursdays through the entire month of October. Ms. Trumbull, the library media specialist, is continuing to organize the Central School outreach program called Sandwich Jam. Second grade classrooms will each have an opportunity to make bag lunches for Father Bill's main spring house in Brockton. Miss Boughton's class will hold their jam on Friday, and Miss Burns would like to thank the PTO for funding the supplies. And on October 25th, which is a Friday, the annual character parade will be held. Second graders will dress up as their favorite character from a book, and with the weather permitting, they will parade around the blacktop for students and families to enjoy. And at the middle school on October 26th or the 25th, Haunted Halls and Creepy Cafe will be held, and that's one of my favorite traditions there. And for the high school, last week was our homecoming spirit week. We had homecoming dance, dinner, and we had the homecoming game. And all events were very successful, and Spirit Week was very fun. The first term closes very soon, in like 2 weeks. November 1st, I think, is the last day. And then 2 weeks ago, we had progress check-ins. And we have the Tri-M Music Honor Society induction is a week from today, actually. And have 4 new inductees. That's all I have.
Sorry, which organization was having 4 new inductees?
The Tri-M Honor Society.
Tri-M? Oh,
Yeah,
great.
and it's 14 new.
Great. And,
14 new people.
wow,
Yeah.
oh, good. And I'm sorry, I wasn't up with the latest news. How did we do in the homecoming game?
We won. We're now 5-0.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right, I guess that turf is working.
Yeah. Clearly.
All right. Well, thank you, Ainsley.
Thank you.
And your ride, getting her here. Thank you very much.
So much.
Good job.
Okay. Superintendent's corner.
So I just want to take a moment to remember Ronald St. Pierre, who was a coach and here at the East Bridgewater Public School. I'm sorry, St. George, and he was so fun to listen to his stories at the Hall of Fame dinners and inductions, and that's how I sort of got to know him, through that, and just listening to his stories about his players, and knowing him through Tom Kenny, and him coming around a few times with George. He passed away, I think it was last Saturday or Friday evening after the Vikings won their game. And he will be sorely missed by many, and many of his athletes and the staff that he worked with and family members throughout East Bridgewater. But I know that when I saw our athletic director on Friday at the game, that was the first thing. Instead of talking about, he said, turf looks great, doesn't look nice, and so the kids warming up, and then Mr. Leonard said, I wanted to let you know that
I'm sorry to hear that.
not doing well, and, unfortunately, these things do happen, and we grieve as a community, but we must know that, we're going on, and he would probably love to know that we won, and that the kids did well, and that he had a part in a successful part of creating what we have today. So I just wanted to let you know, and John, we talked about it today. I think it's Sunday of next week and on Monday, correct? In North Plymouth?
I believe so.
So we'll, might get something out, let the committee know. I don't do Facebook, so I didn't see it. But I did see Patrick, and we'll get some more information on it.
Great, thank you for sharing.
Just a quick turf and track update. We've played 2 football games here on the turf. It does look beautiful. It is working. The blue looks fantastic on the track. I can't believe that we are on time, that it just looks terrific out there. This company is amazing, and it's so clean. I mean, they pick up right after themselves. I mean, if you look at our parking lot, 5 weeks ago, I mean, there was rolls and bundles of everything out there, and there's nothing left. And they're doing a great job on that. We are still waiting for some caps or some covers for the long jump pit, the triple jump pit. So we're looking where the sand is out there. So we're going to cap that off with some covers for that, and that'll make it look a little bit nicer, aesthetically nice. And then there'll be some new lighting coming, and that'll soon to be seen when that goes up. But it's moving along, and it's nice to have the kids come back home. I saw kids out on it today during gym classes, so it's starting to get used. And the company's still here. They're still on site, and they're still moving forward. So it's nice to see the kids to play on it. I went to the New England Association of School Superintendents Conference in Westbrook, Connecticut. It's just a lot of great information. I met with a lot of companies that what we're doing in our district, human resources, DEI, talked about, but one of the major ones that came up, and it also came up today at our EBCCC coalition meeting, was that NEASC is working with the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletics Association, which I sit on the board, but I did go to the presentation. Connecticut has been reviewing their athletic programs for 8 years now, and it's almost like a NEASC visit, like we do with the high schools. They bring in the executive directors of each of the athletic conferences of New York, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. They go to the school district, and they look at your athletic program. And they go through, and what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your policies, what are your protocols. It helps us with budgeting. It helps us with, what are we doing right by our students? Is our athletic program growing? Can it maintain itself? Can it sustain? What are the athletic fields like? Are we equitable on Title IX? It's just, I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to see where we are in our athletic program. Another review by people who do it all the time. So Taunton was one of our pilot districts last year. John Cabral did speak at it. He's the superintendent of Taunton. He gave me they have, the pilot information has come back. So he had his pilot on him. He's now has his actual document. It may be up on their website now, but what they went through, it was one day. They come in, they speak to the principal, the athletic director, coaches, the student athletes, community members, school committee members, talk to us in central office. They find out what are we doing from A to Z, and then come back and compile it and give you back a nice, like a NEASC accreditation visit. It's another avenue for us to explore to make sure that we are being equitable, that we do have diversity amongst our coaches and amongst what we're doing, that we have enough sports for boys and girls. They did bring up, Connecticut brought up that they went and reviewed a school. I'm not going to tell you what state it was in, but Connecticut was part of the visit, and they said that they went in, and the female athletes were like, oh, we got a new weight room. So they went and they said, well, where was your old weight room? And the old weight room was a small closet. And I said, I grew up like that. We would take over the wrestling room from like September to November. Then the wrestling program would start, from November to March, I think, February. And then they would change it over, and it would be like on the weight room. And it was like the mat was on, and it was a squat rack and a bench press, and I can remember that. But this school doing this accreditation visit, was able to show the community that, look, you got all these kids in this one room, somebody's gonna get hurt, it's not equitable, and then you walk down the hallway and there's this, they took over half a gym, and they, unfortunately, it was just the boys in there. So, but the report came out and said, if you're gonna be equitable and you're gonna do right by both teams. So, it's something to look into. MIAA, we are looking into bringing this to Massachusetts. That's why they brought it up, and we listened to the program. But John Cabral couldn't say enough about it. And one of the reasons they say is that John wanted to do it was in at Taunton because his athletic director had been there for so many years. And he had put so many policies in the protocols and how they were doing things and evaluations of, he had all of this knowledge. And then when he leaves, who's going to take over after? And will it be going in the same direction as you had it going in as a school district prior to one leaving and one coming in? So that was just one avenue, and I wanted to bring that up. But it was a great conference and a lot of great information. Tonight you got staffing and positions update. We have all positions filled except one here at the high school. We will fill a language position. We hope to have that person in by the end of the week. ISAs, we hired our last ISA today for Central School Elementary School. So we are full on all those positions. We have filled the positions of, principals have sent everything that for lead, teaching positions, yearbook staff.
Can I ask what the MTRS is?
That is the Massachusetts retirement for our teachers.
Okay.
So Michael would put that in to say that that's where their
Great.
retirement is, or you would see Plymouth County if they were Plymouth County. And on the special town meeting, there was nothing on there for me. We just had that was 2 weeks ago on the 7th, a week ago on the 7th, but we had put it on there prior to, I don't really have anything much more to say on that. And I know that you have 30 policies, so I do not want to belabor what I have. But if any questions, tomorrow, I do have one more. Tomorrow, Kelly Damalis in AP Environmental Science. She is a lead teacher and lead teacher from grade 9 through 12 in science. Over the course of next year, she will be changing the direction and methods in her APES course to reflect the real-world approach to tackling environmental and sustainability issues. Throughout the year, she will be hosting presentations. One of those presentations, innovative solutions to those problems, will be tomorrow. And if you are welcome to come, it is at 8:45 in the morning. I'm going to try to get up there to take a look at it and see the kids and Mrs. Damalis. And there will be more of these throughout the year. If you have time tomorrow, that'd be great. But I did say that we'd bring this up to you tonight and just let you know verbally that this is what she's going to be doing through the year. And she's asked me to ask you to come and take a look at it. So we will send it when her next classes. I think it's throughout the year, but we can give you another date. Yep.
And on one of your notes on here was special town meeting, anything we?
No, that's why I just said, I don't have anything on there. I
Okay,
said that was on the agenda prior to you going through it, and I think it just never was taken off.
Okay, thank you. Reports and discussion. I believe the three of the standing committees that have met since our last meeting was Budget Subcommittee, Policy, and School Committee Goals. I know Dan's not here, and Peter wasn't at the Budget Subcommittee meeting. We met, Dan and I met with Liz to talk about the HR position, the DEI, perhaps DEI position. Nothing definitive came out of that meeting, but what we did do is to ask Superintendent Legault to get some relevant information from like-sized districts as us. I know we had some bigger school districts who use these roles, but we thought something more relevant to our size would be helpful. And then to look into HR software that would really help. I mean, I think we had, what, 350 employees, and, you know, I know there's got to be software out there that kind of helps bring all that together. So that's being developed as well, too. And,
Can I ask a question?
yes, go ahead.
What's the software you use for payroll?
So we do payroll here on,
So it's not like a Paychex or anything. There'd be no HR platforms attached to it.
no.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Well, that was one of the questions, because I've spoken to a few people, and well, they said, well, do you process your own payroll? I didn't know if you sent the data to the town and the town cuts the check?
We send the data to the town sends it to the payroll company.
Right, okay, I kind of thought that was the
So
case,
the
but
town
thank you.
uses a payroll company.
Yes.
All right.
Any idea what-
I think the name is CDS. I
Okay.
don't-
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll find out. Okay, thank you. And I know, Liz, you want to see if we can schedule another budget subcommittee
I
meeting?
think so. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. And then DEI, North River Collaborative we did hire a DEI person full-time, and we can bring them into our districts
Perfect.
and to do some work for us. So I have a meeting with Arturo Forrest. I have not met him personally yet, but I will be. He'll be in the district next week on the 23rd to meet with me.
Great, great. And just while I'm thinking of it, that's a great, let's say, either tonight or our next meeting, if there's more to report on that. For instance, one of Superintendent Legault's goals is to, you know, have a program around DEI or bring in, do an audit or whatever. So this would be whatever material we might get could be filed under that. So when it comes time to, you know, sit down and look at a review, you'd have that, oh, yeah, that's right. I know we talked about this, we brought in this person. So just as an example, because there's so much going on all the time, it'd be good to be organized around it.
May I ask something?
Yes,
So would he would be able to come into our district at no cost because we pay into North River
We pay
already?
into North River, but we also do pay hourly fees, and we do pay consulting fees with
Okay.
North River at times.
Okay.
If we need to go out for an OTPT, he's going to be looked at like that.
Okay, so there would be
Amongst
a,
having a salary, he's also going to be, because that's how we work at the collaborative, we bring them in, and, we also have rooms, from North River Collaborative that they use during the year and during the, summer.
yep,
And so lots of times we trade on services
okay,
for the room here, so. The cost is probably, it will be minimal. to
well,
the
in
district.
comparison to what we've talked about for
Yeah.
numbers, I'm guessing,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
okay. While I'm thinking of it, Mike, if you could help me, it made perfect sense to me that anytime there's going to be a subcommittee meeting, we've got to let you know so it can be posted. So if you make note of that, so that on the next agenda for us, we know, oh, such and such a subcommittee had a meeting on the 15th or whatever. Just that way we can keep, we don't miss anything.
Just like on this agenda.
Yes, perfect, yep.
We all have a calendar through Google that's assigned to our email addresses through the school. Maybe the meetings go in the Google Calendar?
Oh, great. You know what? I've never used the Google Calendar assigned to me through the school, so.
If people feel comfortable doing that, just a suggestion, so that,
Well,
We
I
still
guess I do.
have to post it.
yeah.
I do,
No,
yeah.
I know, but just so there's transparency for everybody to see it, Michael doesn't have to keep one of, I'm sure, 100 lists,
Okay,
if anybody thinks it's a good idea. Just a recommendation.
okay, thank you. Policy Subcommittee, I know,
Yeah, well, can I skip
You
to
guys
the
will-
goals one first? The goals is the easiest.
as the chairman, I will allow you to do that. That's my power.
I know.
It is your power. Congratulations.
Don't let it go to your head, Gordon.
No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So the goals are pretty self-explanatory. You can see in red, the red line track changes. We just added, we changed one word for create to maintain, because we've already created that, so. And then we added this paragraph at the top, and in goal number 3, we added a line. And that's it.
Great, and so one of the other things that I want to make sure, because I think in the past, we, at least from my observation, we go through the goals, they exist, but they never seem to make them onto our agendas, so I'll find a way that we'll have a reference to them on the agenda each month to say, hey, what have we done, on anything on the list here. So, okay, I'll make sure.
Well, some things are ongoing, like this here under financial management. At regular monthly school committee meetings, review monthly budget. So we already do that. And then budget subcommittee actively collaborates, and you do that. There's stuff that's like just ongoing all the time.
Sure, but there are other things that need some attention, and I just want to make sure we don't miss out on those. So, okay. All right. Now, do you want to do policy?
Michael wanted to.
Oh, Michael has, I love we're raising hands. This is good. Go ahead.
Can I just offer a quick question, suggestion to the chief of the working force? So you know how on the agenda we put a section that says school committee reminder?
Yes,
Do you want to just put goals?
yes, that could be fine. Sure. Thank you.
So I'm assuming we need to sign these because they're refreshed, but also it says updated February of 2024.
Yes, so we have to add,
Since it's,
when these get
October.
officially changed, then it will have to say October of '24.
right.
So are we going to vote on the red line changes, and then next month we'll have these to sign? Or is that how it's going to work?
Probably, yeah. And it should be, I think it's in an action item. It should be as an action item in here.
Yes.
But the
So we can
question is,
either-
if we approve it, should we be signing it as well, too?
Oh, well, I don't think we have a fresh copy. We probably have to approve them first. and-
Yes, there is.
This
Oh,
top
there
sheet's
is?
a
Oh,
fresh
you
copy.
brought it? Oh, Mike,
It's a fresh copy, it's just to Amy's point, has the wrong date, so can we, it's about signing it with the
oh,
not
do
correct
you have
date.
one with the correct date on it? At the bottom where it says October 24?
Oh, that's on there because that's the last time that you guys.
Oh, okay, so then we sign at the next meeting then.
Oh, okay, and we just date it now. Yeah, so that's fine.
Okay. So, a motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
and a second,
Second.
and any discussion, anyone have any questions on what's on there?
No.
Okay.
Do you, is this a copy that's not stapled that we could pass around to sign? That we could steal from you?
Well, it doesn't say October of '24 on it.
We just agreed that we're just gonna date it at the bottom, October 24, and that
Michael
will be
has
the
it.
last update. Oh, Michael has it. Do we, is that not
Or
what
do you
we
want this
said?
one, Mike? It's not stable.
Oh, this one's, oh.
Yeah, but
Just
don't
that'd be
you want to
easier.
sign the one that says October 24 at the bottom after they've been approved?
Why don't we just write it in
We're gonna have to use yours, I guess.
tonight, sign it, approve it.
Mine's
Oh, we could, it doesn't matter.
You can do
We
that.
don't,
That's fine.
makes
one
sense.
less thing off of next
Sure.
month's agenda.
Yep. Okay,
Fine. Thank you, Michael.
thank you. All right.
Thank you guys for doing that.
And then, well, the policies, do you want to just go over them in the agenda order, or how do you want to do it?
Well, my thoughts, and I have all my notes on them, is that there's a number of them that are just straightforward, change the tense or change the pronoun noun or something, and change the legal reference. So those are, I think there's at least 8 or 9 of those that we could just kind of, if you have them collected that way and just can list them out, maybe we can just approve those. I don't think there's any discussion we need to have on those.
So I think that the ones that we had a subcommittee meeting for, that have notes assigned to them, are the ones that are.
Those are BA through
that,
EEAG.
that have notes assigned to them that you have read or could read now.
Yep.
Those are the ones I think we should package together.
Right. That's fine.
Yeah.
So let's-
So it's gonna be BA, BB, BBBE, EBB, EBCD, EBCFA, ECA, EEA, EA, and EEAG. We're all looking to bundle together.
Okay. 'Cause
Except
those are
for
all just-
EBCFA is being removed.
Before we get into this, I'm sorry, can we, my brain just needs like a little organization. This part is about updating about the meetings, right? So can we hear an update about the meeting before we go into all the
Sure.
policy? Does that make sense? Just like,
Well, for the policy subcommittee.
Yeah.
The update about the meeting was we went through the policies, we went through 9 of the policies and, went through them and made changes, or gave our opinions and stuff. But we met twice, because then we had to, what did we do the second meeting? The first
We
meeting-
met twice, because we had 2 subcommittee meetings, with the goals. And then in the, policy meeting, we looked through handbook,
Oh, right.
updates. And we also looked at policies. So in that, following meeting, we then went through these notes and pulled together these 10 policies that we reviewed collectively against the MASC changes, and either agreed or disagreed based upon the notes here. So a number of them will say adopt the policy, adopt the policy. I feel like these are, they were all unanimous. We agreed upon the changes, and recommendations, I think, are pretty straightforward. The additional policies, we did not meet as a subcommittee on.
okay.
EBCFA is getting removed, we recommend to have removed that one, though. And actually, I spoke to someone at MASC afterwards, and they have since removed that EBCFA policy from their manual also.
Is that security cameras in schools?
No, that's
No, it was
Face
face coverings.
face coverings.
Face coverings.
EBCFA.
Oh, EB, not EC.
Okay.
So we did
So
meet
2 meeting, gotcha.
twice. I think we have not
Thought about the
yet
handbook.
scheduled a third one, but we should schedule a third one.
We're not done.
Probably presumably to go back into handbooks, and I think Ellen has a number of more policies to review.
Yeah, and we're not done, we're not done, we started going through the high school handbook, but we're not done with that one, and then we still have the Mitchell School one.
Okay. Did you have more questions about that?
No, just
Okay.
to keep with like the
Sure, no,
theme
no.
of what we created. I wanted to
absolutely
hear
agree.
about the update of the,
That going through
all the
the
work that was done, you
the
know?
high school handbook feels like a distant memory.
The, so it makes sense to me, when it comes time to approve these, we group them, the list that you just made, Peter, pretty straightforward, just tweaks and tunes, and then just go off the list that you just referenced, Amy. You can just read the note and say, okay, approved, or who we point.
Peter and I were referencing the same ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so you can just tell us, these are the ones we approve, or recommend to approve. We can move through them pretty quickly, I would think, so.
Yeah, I think what I was saying is that there's 2 stacks, so I apologize if I wasn't clear. One of the ones that we met together as a collective subcommittee to review,
Right.
provided feedback in the meeting minutes here that summarize where we think we should move forward. The other ones were time that Ellen spent doing comparison herself, and then those are in a separate package, which I don't have any recommendations on. I think Ellen wanted to read through them.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
what I want, well, some of them are Title IX, and they're, like legal changes.
Right, and Title IX is no small feat, that's about, what, 8 or 9 pages worth of,
And the DJE, that was, one
Yes.
we had from last spring.
that was
So,
procurement?
If you wanna go, we can go over them, I mean, I don't wanna, but we should probably go over them in order, so it's not so confusing, except for the group that they just talked about.
Right. Well, if we could, whatever the most efficient way of going through them, fine, and then the question's gonna be whether, I think we're set up, we're supposed to have 3 readings, or we can waive that and just do 1 reading. Okay, so, as far as I'm concerned, we can do 1 reading, as long as we feel like we're comfortable with it.
I would make a motion then for us to waive the second reading on the ones that the subcommittee has already gone ahead and made recommendations on for approval, which would be BA, EB, EBBE, EBB, EBCD, EBCFA, which is being removed, ECA, EEAEA, and EEAG.
And then EEAA, I think you missed.
Yeah, I was,
Oh, we didn't review that one. We said we revisit it at a future meeting. Thank you.
so,
Okay,
motion to waive the second reading and approve those.
okay,
I second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any, I didn't ask for discussion, but it seemed like we were already discussing it, so.
So can I just ask for, like, the way that it works, because again, I'm new. So we waive the second reading, but then do we still then review these meeting minutes,
Well,
or no?
the minutes, you mean so we don't, at the end, when we go through the action items?
Yep.
That's when we'll approve our minutes.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
I think more in the terms of like, we're gonna skip the second reading, but do we need to review our recommendations collectively here?
Oh, no, you don't need to. You can say
Okay.
as written.
Okay.
Do you feel like there's something to talk about out
No,
loud?
I think
Okay.
we were,
looking
I think
for
we're,
procedures.
yeah, just
Okay,
procedurally.
okay.
I think we were very thorough,
Yeah, okay.
so.
Right?
I
And,
don't
Thank
think
you for
there's
that.
any- Yeah.
and,
Although, there was some questions, though, Peter, which could come up later, but I think we had written in the minutes that there was some questions, I think, in regards to first aid or, so, but
Yeah.
again, could be a different conversation.
Yep.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I was just asking procedurally.
So, procedurally, we just voted to waive the second. Now we need to
vote to approve.
vote to approve.
Right.
So
We're
motion,
doing that at the end, or are we gonna move on to
Do it
strategic?
now.
Okay.
We can do it, get that part out of the way.
okay. Motion to approve, school committee policies, as discussed, DJE, ACE, I'm sorry.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
BA.
I'm sorry, BA, EB, BBBE, EBB, EBCD, EBCFA is being removed, ECA, EEAEA, EEAG.
Someone want to
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you have those, did you catch all that, Mike? Okay, super. And just for clarification, those who have not sat with the entire policy manual, which is pretty substantial, the methodology that MASC sets up is that, it sounds crazy, all these letters, but they all mean something. So the Group A references one set of policies, B, C, whatever, and then as subsequent policies under those general categories, they add letters onto it so you know who you're talking about, even though it's very confusing at times. But when you see the whole manual, you can see the table of contents, it makes more sense. But, sorry. Okay. All right.
Ready for the next section?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Sorry. Are we following the agenda?
I think we're going ahead.
Skipping ahead.
well, we can follow the agenda. I don't mind. We can go back, however you want to do it.
Well, if we're in the middle of it now, if we can move, and it makes sense, we can do that. and just-
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be reading things for the first time, and we're gonna get bogged down, so if we can move forward with things to allow Mrs. Williams the time to
Okay,
get to her
that's fine.
points, that might be
Yep.
helpful.
No, so we'll do the next group
However you
when
want to
we're
do it.
doing the action items.
So they can leave.
Is that okay? Do that.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to leave.
That's what I just said, I said, so they can leave.
Okay, so thank you for that, those updates.
Thank you.
And now we move on to strategic plan number 1, social emotional wellness.
Great. So as you know, this is our third and final year of the strategic plan. So it's a good time for us to take a look at all the initiatives and goals that we've set over the 3 years and to solidify them into a plan. So that's actually what we're working on this year under social emotional wellness. I've met twice already with our mental health staff members, including our school psychologists, our school adjustment counselors, and our guidance counselors. And we're developing a social emotional learning plan pre-K to 12 that's articulated by tier. And when we look at, you have here multi-tiered systems of support, it looks at tier 1, what do all students get? Tier 2, what do students who maybe need more than what's provided for all students? And then tier 3 is those most high-need students. So as I show you the plan, as we go along over the course of the year, with the end of the year being the final document, you'll be able to look to see, okay, in kindergarten, this is what all students get for social emotional learning. Learning of skills, any programming, any curriculum that we use, resource materials, how often those are done with students over the course of the year. Then you'll see what does Tier 2 look like, and what do we use to determine if a student needs Tier 2. They're not finding success with our general social emotional learning curriculum, so what is it that we provide for them? Usually Tier 2 is provided in a small group. It could be provided by the classroom teacher, it could be provided by a counselor. And then Tier 3 are for those students who need the most intensive supports. That doesn't mean they don't get the other tiers. All students get Tier 1, some students get Tier 1, Tier 2, and then we hope few students get Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. So just to kind of give you a foreshadowing of what you'll expect to see at the end of the year is our document of our social emotional learning plan for the district to see what all students are getting in those tiers across the district. It's also a chance for us to look at what's being provided building to building so that we know that we have consistency and continuity in what's being provided to students. And really, over the course of the year, we're looking at where are our gaps, because as we do this, we start to see, oh, wow, we really spend a lot of time focusing on this set of skills in this grade, and maybe don't do as much of it in the next grade. We did find that a little bit, especially with our 7th and 8th grade students, not getting explicit instruction in good citizenship, learning to get along with others. I think we took it for granted that as 7th graders, they've acquired those skills. Looking at discipline referrals, especially in 7th and 8th grade, there's a lot of those skills that need more tending to. So we are piloting a program, Everyday Speech, that we'll be sharing as well over the course of the year to say this is something that we're going to implement across the grade level, 7th and 8th, but also what are we doing in those other grades leading up to it. So, like I said, more to come, but at the end of this year, as we move out of this strategic plan, we will have articulated as a district, what are we doing for students for social emotional learning? I know you've heard like, oh, we do this, and it's kind of all overwhelming at times. I know even as we talk as a district, it was like, oh, we were kind of brainstorming all the things that we do, and right now it was just like a big splash pad of things, and now we've got to really make sure that we're being deliberate and intentional with what we're doing, when we're doing it, so that all students are getting what they need, and we're not just hit and miss of students depending on whose classroom they're in or what grade level they're in, but we can confidently say that all students are getting, in every grade level, a baseline foundation.
And, excuse me, Gina, so at the end of the year, we'll see Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 in grades 1 through 12?
Pre-K to 12.
Pre-K, oh, okay, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
And there will be some overlap. You'll see that there's obviously some programming that happen in multiple grades, or there's things that we do as a whole district, but yes, you'll see that articulated in a plan. And it's really important when we hire new staff, and they come in to ask, like, okay, so what do you use for resources and curriculum? And scheduling our school adjustment counselors to be in classrooms, providing those lessons and supports, and providing training for our teachers so that they know how to support students in the classroom, and we're not solely relying on our service providers to do it.
That would be great. To your earlier point, I love to hear all the different things that are happening, but it's nice to have an overall, hey, here's the whole map, and here's how we're moving through it. I think just helps, because I don't live it every day, so I want to hear it, but it's good to have a map. And if that's what we end up at the end of the year, that'll be really helpful.
That's the goal.
Thank you.
Dr. Williams, in conjunction with that, does it take a look at, you mentioned the word resources and talking about that, will it allow for you to be able to adjust resources in the future as you see there's needs in other areas? Or, so as you're throwing all this to understand it all, like, how do you tie the resource part of it together?
So it works nicely because with our curriculum review cycle, our social emotional is what's up this year. So as we take a look at creating this plan, we'll know what are we making recommendations for going into next year.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, are we
Good.
set? You-
Yep.
Moving on to UDL?
Sure. Just before that, it has professional development, just to let everyone know, on that September 25th, we partnered with the East Bridgewater Police Department. Every year, staff get trained in ALICE, which is our intruder training, crisis prevention training. So all staff members are expected to do an online training every year, whether it's a certification if they're newly hired, or a recertification if they're a current employee, as well as a face-to-face. So they had a 30-minute training with Deputy Chief McLaughlin, and then they had scenario training, which is actually going through drills in the classroom. So that was on that September PD, the half-day for staff. So we covered that.
If this might be part of one of the things that we were talking about out, the subcommittee, with regards to the deliverance of first aid, and whether or not, I think there was some discussion with regards to, from the policy standpoint, who's responsible for administering first aid and what that definition is, and whether or not we've actually trained the staff to feel comfortable to administer first aid. So I don't know if that's part of ALICE, and then maybe could be part of safety at some point as well. Just something to think about.
Yeah, so as part of our annual mandated trainings, universal precautions training is always done every year. That's through our school nurses. As part of ALICE, the police department also does Stop the Bleed, which we have the tourniquets stationed throughout all the buildings, so that training is done. But mostly with the first aid, it comes down to universal precautions, making sure staff are keeping themselves safe, keeping the students safe, while tending to a student until medical attention can be given, for example, maybe at recess. Our preschool program is accredited, so all of our preschool staff is CPR trained, and they need to be trained on that biannual basis. So they're getting recertified. That's actually coming up for them.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it raises, so we have a certified elementary school. It raises the question, should we have other certified schools in the district?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's optional that we have an accredited preschool. It's
That's
just
fantastic,
something we've, maintained, and that is part of the responsibility of being accredited.
Yep, great, thank you.
So UDL, it's been asked a few times to explain UDL, so I was trying to think of like the most simplified way to do that. So I provided you with the document, but universal design actually is an architectural term when designing buildings, making sure it's accessible for all. And so looking at buildings being designed with more ramps as opposed to stairs, knowing everybody can access through a ramp. So through that lens, it was looked at for educational purposes. So when we look at universal design for learning through an educational lens, it's also access for all, and looking at barriers that exist that prevent students from learning. So there's really three principles that you need to look at when looking at potential barriers for students. So you'll see in the handout in your packet, those three sections are the three principles. So the blue, the multiple means of engagement, that looks at the why of learning. So lots of times students who aren't engaged, they don't see the why or understand the why. Or students who have challenges learning, they're not understanding the why. So one of the principles is to break down barriers of engagement. So on that document, you can see that it gave examples of what teachers can do to get students more engaged. Surveying students, looking at what their interests are, using more real-world application. So first is to break down that resistance of students wanting to engage so that they are interested in learning, and teachers needing to look at that. The next one, the green box, is the representation. That's really about the what of learning. So this is comes to like the teachers. How are you delivering instruction so that all students can access it? So teachers being aware that they cannot deliver instruction the same way all the time, because that may not work for all students. And most commonly we think about like the lecture style, and students, maybe not learning auditorily is the best way for them to access. So a lot of the trainings we do for teachers are, how can you represent the topic or the skill in multiple ways so that if certain students don't learn it through that mode, they have other ways of accessing that information. So that's the second principle. The third and final one is the expression, and that's how do students show you what they've learned. So a lot of times, students are learning, it's just the method that we're testing them or assessing them is not the best way for them to be able to show you what they're learning. By having multiple ways for students to express what they've learned, it gives them variety in being able to show you that they have learned the skill. So that speaks more to, not necessarily a pencil paper test. Maybe it's a hands-on approach, they're doing a project, or they're acting something out, finding multiple ways that students can show you what they've learned and not having like a traditional one-size-fits-all. So when we were first learning about universal design for learning, one of the analogies that the trainer used, that still stays with me today, is, and this is Katie Novak, who is well known in the UDL world, and DESE uses her quite a bit when they're creating documents for universal design for learning. And she talked about a dinner party, and she said that if you're hosting a dinner party and you have 20 to 30 people coming, about the size of a classroom, and you decide to prepare a casserole, and everybody comes over, you've just eliminated certain people at your party from being able to have your meal, because they could be lactose intolerant, they could be a vegetarian, they could be gluten-free. So when we look at learning, if we have one way that we present it, we're right off the bat eliminating a certain amount of people. So she said, look at it like a buffet. So, you could have a lot of those same things in that casserole, but if you kind of separate it out, and then people have access to pick and choose what they like and what they want. Now, you've included everybody, and you've planned ahead for it, as opposed to when people talk about, like, oh, I have to differentiate for everyone. That's, you have a lesson, everybody's come to the classroom, and you put this lesson out there, and now some aren't accessing it, and now I'm running around the room making a change for you, making a change for you. And that's reacting as opposed to being proactive in creating lessons that everybody can access the lesson the way they need to and the way that they're going to find success with it. So I don't know if that's helpful for you, but that's what she used, that analogy. So I'll be happy to share more as we go throughout the year if there's more questions. Basically, that's what universal design for learning is
So-
giving access to all.
Fundamentally, every grade, every teacher is following this format?
Yeah, everybody's at different places. Everybody has gone through the training. Right now, we're working with new hire teachers this year. But it was a requirement that everyone goes through 6 sessions of training. So what we did in year 1 is we had a team of about 20 of us that went to professional development training. And from the group of 20 that went over the course of the year, we had 6 staff members who said that they will go through the coaching training. So it was a graduate level course that they took, and they became eligible to be coaches. So now back in the district, they're UDL coaches, and they're the ones that do the training every year. So we're not paying every year for the training. It's difficult sometimes to free people up for the training, but we've definitely committed to that and made accommodations to make sure that everyone is freed up. So first half of the year, 12 people go through that training. Usually it's about once a month. Second half of the year, it's another set. So over 3 years, we have been able to cycle everyone through.
So what was year 1 when we started?
When was that year?
Yes.
So that was prior to COVID, so it was probably 2018, 2019, that we did that 1 year. Clearly, COVID created a little bit of a delay in getting everybody trained, but it's been enough time. And now, principals are looking for these strategies when they're doing observations in the classroom. So it becomes part of the evaluation process as well.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much. I thought it would be helpful because over the time, when we've gone through the strategic plan, many a time UDL would be referenced, and I'm thinking, only know a little bit, because I saw the book you passed out, and I've done a little bit of research, so I just figured it would be good for everyone to have a common ground that we're drawing from. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This was very easy to follow along, thank you.
I didn't know I had a question to ask you before, so I apologize.
Do you guys notice, or is there anything that's noticed with trends of our students' grades? Do you, it's a big question. Do you notice if students' grades are improving, like across the board in terms of what it was while teachers are using UDL more? I'm not suggesting by any means you track it, but I didn't know
Right.
if that was something that you did and as a way to see the benefit? So we haven't started with the student grades. What we are looking at is our referral process. Because typically when students are not finding success, the first go-to is referring a student to our child study team. Either they're not academically doing well or they're not doing well social, emotionally, or behaviorally. So we're looking at those trends to see if those numbers are decreasing, meaning that students are finding more success in the classroom because the teachers are using more tools in their toolkit. And when I shared with you our district curriculum accommodation plan, that DCAP, those are all strategies from that training. Yep.
So that's what we're following right now, not so closely connected to grades in the classroom, but less referrals to us means more success, which ultimately should
Right, because if they were
mean better
struggling in the
grades.
classroom, you'd be getting more referrals to a certain grade level anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
Anyone else? Any other questions? No? We move on to the business report. John?
I gave you mine. Go ahead.
And if we have, obviously, we need a set for Dan.
Yep, I have it.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll just put it in this mailbox.
Okay.
I like
Thank you.
Peter, can I see the microphone next to you? Mine's turning red.
Oh, that one's not.
So there are 4 items I just want to go over tonight.
Please.
The first, page 1, is the project and summer work update that I presented at the last meeting. You had requested dollar amounts next to these, so I added the dollar amounts. There are also a couple additional ones I added. As I reviewed this, I noticed there were a couple additional ones that should have been added. You can see the handwritten notes, the switch project was completed last week. And the main entrance video intercom system was completed last week. I added one item that needs to be addressed, and that's the art room, the kiln, and the ventilation in that room. We need to address with Brian Kiley, and he has told us he is looking into that.
What happened to the kiln? Just out of curiosity.
It's
Not
old.
overheated? Oh.
It doesn't seal properly. We fixed it numerous times over the years.
I think it gets used a lot.
It does.
I have a number of odd ceramics at my house I could bring in for display if anybody wants to see.
Next week, hopefully, we should be getting our auditorium projector and controller / processor replaced, cafeteria sound system and the gym sound system. If I don't get the gym sound system fixed, I may need to move from my office because Gina might kick me out.
You've got until basketball season.
The box truck should be coming in the next couple of weeks, and the Wi-Fi, the access point replacements, we're scheduling that very shortly, so. We've done a lot, but we still have more to go. Any questions on that?
Any update? I know we had some more glitches with the phone system. I don't know, forget which school, middle or central, whatever. That an ongoing, seems like that keeps popping up.
When did we have glitches?
I thought there was a notice that went out and said the phone system is
last, like,
down
week or
at
so.
the
last week sometime.
That was due to the switch replacement.
Oh,
It wasn't the phone system.
All right, thank you.
The switch replacement went well. We did have some hiccups. I mean, the complexity of that whole process, with, it's the town, it's the police, it's the fire, it's EBCAM, it's the schools, all the fiber networks go through that switch. I mean, a lot of work went into it, and some things like EBCAM was down for longer than they would have liked, but
Okay,
I think we're back at a point where we're about 99%
thank you.
complete. Page 2 is a request from last meeting. You wanted to see the legal fees broken down, and I broke them down as best I could by reviewing every bill. HR, collective bargaining agreement / negotiations, and other, and you get to the total of $47,000. And Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and
Lahane.
so that totaled last year of $15,279.
And am I understanding right, even if we looked at HR, we still need legal for special ed, right? Like, so this, HR is not, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, HR is not cutting that cost of the special ed legal. That is, like, that's going to have to go through legal no matter what.
Mostly special ed, yes.
Yeah,
HR would be cutting down, mostly in your hiring practices and your policies and your protocols,
okay.
and some of the work by BDH.
And, thank you, John, this is really helpful.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, then complicate it even further, but
But you
are these a typical year, high year, low year?
Yeah, 47,000 typical year.
Okay,
We're going into teacher negotiations next year, so,
probably be lower.
yeah. Definitely will not be.
But maybe on a go-forward basis, if you can, once a year, just kind of update the committee on what this number looks like. At the end of the year, when you have all your numbers done, it's a good reference point, I think. Yeah, thank you.
I think it seems like a very reasonable amount, I'm assuming, based on the volume.
Yep.
Okay, the next 12 pages are a copy for you of the the independent accountant's report on the end-of-year report. So there are 11 pages of, 12 pages of items that the accountants review to make sure that the end-of-year report is filed in accordance with procedures, and everything reconciles. I'm happy to let you know that there were no findings on the fiscal year '23 report, which was good. There was one finding on page 6 that relates to a fiscal year 2022 end-of-year report. So they found on the fiscal year '22 report that I did not accurately report an MSBA payment for the roof. It does not affect net school spending. It does not affect per pupil spending. It does not. It has nothing to do with maintenance of effort. It has nothing to do with excess cost, which is what the end-of-year report is used for. I should have filed the amendment. I didn't.
Okay, thank you. Wow, that's no small feat. You say that you went through all this with no major exceptions or notes, however they want to define it. It's pretty impressive.
So on page 15, this is also related to the end-of-year report. This just shows a I mean, obviously, the biggest thing for the end-of-year report is making sure all expenses are captured. This is what I present to the town, and what I also present to the accountants to show, first line is what is reported as expenditures, and everything below is the backup. And shows you that, due to rounding, I was off by $2.
So it starts, for instance, in column 1, school committee appropriations.
Yep.
The 23,611, that's our budget.
That's what I reported on the end-of-year report as expenses
Okay. And then-
from our budget.
Okay. And then,
Below are all the backup reports I used to get to that number.
yep,
And you could see I was off by rounding of $4.
okay.
And you probably say, I mean, why don't you fix the rounding? The thing is with this end-of-year report, I mean, I'm filing tuitions on one report, and then another report, I'm filing tuitions broken out by age, and another report, I'm filing tuitions broken out by sped category. And
So it's thousands of line
if
items.
if they don't equal,
Yeah.
I get an error.
Right.
So I could probably spend a day or so and go back and fix the rounding.
I prefer
I
to-
figured
Or if I
I'm
just
off-
give you the $4.
if I'm
Yeah.
off by $2 at the end of the day, it's okay.
And the column number 2, the city and town appropriations, can you give us a little background on that? Just-
Yeah, so those are the costs that are allocated to the schools from the town. Those are in, maybe if you want to go to the page 16, you could see the breakdown by the different line items of the cost report for those costs. So this is the same thing as the page before. It just breaks it down by all the different line items. So you can see city, town appropriations, under business and finance, that's costs allocated to us, the treasurer's salary, the payroll salary, soft right expense, things like that. Then you've got human resource and benefits, that's from other staff that are up at the town hall. If you go to the next page, transportation services, that's a regular busing, and then you get, if you want to go line by line, I'm happy to do it, but school security, that's the resource officer, custodial, that's all the custodial supplies, you've got heat, electricity, the DPW for the maintenance of grounds in the building, pension payments, health insurance, principal and interest on debt. So those are the things that are not in our budget that we vote on every year that are allocated to us from the town.
And we pay those monies to the town. Am I understanding that right?
So we don't pay those monies to the town, so all those items are included in other
Oh, I
parts
see.
of the overall town budget.
Okay. Oh, I see, allocated. You said right, okay, yeah.
And so, the school choice and other tuition I'm sorry, if you were gonna go, these are the only questions that popped up to me.
Okay.
So, the column 7, the school choice and other tuition, that's a pretty big number. That doesn't so school, at the end of the day, it's 409,000. Well, that's not what we get from school choice.
It's
right?
also preschool.
It's all, I'm sorry?
Preschool?
Preschool choice, I didn't know if the tuitions were for people going out of district.
Nope.
No, that's all?
Nope, those tuitions are in our budget, which is in column 1.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you.
So this gives you an overall, if you look at page 18, what we vote on is column 1 in our budget, but you could see 12.5 million in costs that are associated from the town. We spent 1.6 million out of federal grants, 29,000 state grants, 412,000 out of circuit breaker, You've got the athletic fund, you've got the food, in column 9, the food service fund. So 23,000 out of our operational budget, but overall, we're looking at almost 41 million.
Right.
What's the other local receipts?
Like before and after care. Before and after care is the big one. Little Vikings,
Oh, like the revolvers?
yeah, those are mainly our revolving funds.
Looks like the biggest one there is civic activities and community services. Is what, how that other local receipts, that's 520 out of that 862, it looks like.
That's before and after care.
Right, that's the before, so that's.
Little Vikings, before and after care.
Okay. Thank you. Two. Went to the
Sure.
van and all.
The next 3 pages, 19, 20, and 21, I'm asking your permission to declare these items as surplus so we can dispose of them or give them away or sell them. The van, the box truck, and I have 10 piano desks remaining. We reused 13 or 14 of them at Mitchell School, one at Central School. I asked the town if they, any town department if they could use them. I asked other school districts if they could use them. I have no takers. There are probably 5 or 6 that.
Is it just the desk or is it the actual piano?
Just the desk.
And the new keyboards that we appropriated, they don't need these desks, they stand alone?
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Is the presumption that you might be able to sell the vehicles, but obviously the desk would be disposed of? Or the vehicles?
I'm gonna
would
try to
be-
sell them.
No?
I'm gonna try to sell.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think, I mean, the box truck, I mean, the frame is all rotted, but the engine may still be,
Yeah.
may still be good.
Right, anyone?
Make a motion.
Anybody in the market for a van?
Make a motion to allow said van, box truck, and 10 desks be declared as surplus property.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just trying to look at that one of our action items we took care of.
Yes, it was.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. All right, so, let's see. We're up to.
Thank you.
Jay Fallon, obviously, he's not here tonight, but we got his, sorry, I'm trying to collect all my stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Yep, we got his report. So I don't, whatever questions you might have for him, you can, off of that, you can ask him the next meeting. And, so his legal fee, as I understood what you said, was his legal fee summation was just for his department, but John's included all of it. Great, okay, thank you. Let's see.
That is quite the jump over 2 years. Just very telling for the forecast of mental health in the schools.
Yes.
Quite a difference in money.
MASC resolutions.
I have notes on my phone for this. I'm not texting during the meeting.
I have notes in my book for this.
Just letting everybody know, that's why the phone's out.
Forgot my notes.
So the floor is yours, Peter. I get to them all right. I think there's 10 resolutions, right? If you just want to take us through and see how people vote, or, and I know I have a couple of questions, but just take us through 1 through 10.
All right.
You don't have to read them all, because we all have them in front of us, but just say, you know.
Are we just talking about the whereas, therefore it be resolved?
Yeah, but even that, I think we all had them and gone through them, unless
Yep.
we need to read that. But, like, for instance, on,
One's getting plenty of attention here with development of an alternative to the high-stakes MCAS test.
yeah, so for instance,
Well, that's
I voted,
That's on the ballot.
It is a ballot.
It is a ballot question
Ballot
also,
question.
But I think,
but it's also this question.
I voted no on this, and the reason I voted no was the last line, well, one of the lines under therefore be it resolved that MASC urges Massachusetts to enact a moratorium on MCAS testing effective immediately. Everything well, not everything we're looking at, but MASC, I mean, those test scores, okay, what do we do in the interim if they go away immediately? I don't disagree with the concept of replacing them, but effective immediately was the one thing but that was just my vote.
I'm good with it. Bring on the chaos.
You vote yay?
I do.
Okay, so who votes yes on this?
I don't think it's gonna matter after we have,
And who votes no?
the ballot question.
But it matters for right
Well, it
now. We
just-
have to
it
come up with
just
an answer for
Peter's
Peter.
edification, he's gonna sit at the meeting and say, hey, there was 3 yeses for this and 2 nos, so
Although there is
Yeah.
something it says, talks about, an alternative to the high-stakes the MCAS test.
But they have to develop it.
yeah, develop it, doesn't exist yet.
That'll take who knows how long.
Right.
I felt pretty strongly that from sitting, listening to them talk through this, that at the end of the day, these are all just recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
Whether or not any of this makes it to legislature and becomes anything, right? So I think realistically, we have to look at it from a point of view of like, are we okay with the MASC just putting this forward to try and push agenda or not, right? We're not making any definitive decisions about MASC or MCAS, it's just, are we okay with them pushing this forward as an item that they want then the powers to be to make legislature around, right?
Yeah.
That's what I took
They're
from the
just,
call.
they're
that
just
I was-
guidelines for the legislative committee
Right.
to approach our legislators.
so from a procedural standpoint, I found it somewhat, the way I took these resolutions is that they were already kind of predetermined,
Right.
without our ability to determine one way or the other the outcome.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by predetermined, like they're gonna do this no matter what we vote?
That's the impression that I felt by
Not if
being on that
everybody
call.
not if everybody in the, whoever's voting, all the delegates, if they all say no, then they're not gonna bring it forward to legislature.
So there was a discussion during that at some point in time, sure, somebody gets up and will retort, what is the will of this?
Yeah.
It was my impression that a lot of this stuff is Amy, you were on the call as well, I don't know if you had that same,
It sounded to me like that it was very rare that collectively there was a lot of no's in the room. That's what I got.
and then I would say as a side to that, this is the conference that's happening the first weekend of November, the 6th through the 9th.
Right, yes.
Michael, earlier on today, we were trying to figure out when these votes were actually taking place and whether or not there was a schedule of events for this
The delegate,
At the delegate meeting?
at the delegate
Yeah,
meeting.
In
it's
the book,
usually
does it say
identified
when the-
one day at a time slot.
when the delegate assembly is.
Yeah, maybe it's Friday night?
No,
Does it-
it's
is it-
not gonna be Friday, it's usually Wednesday or Thursday, I think.
If you
It
can
should be
identify
right in
it
the
in that
program.
book, it would be,
It's not in the book, it's in a separate mailing,
it's in a, so,
it's a separate mailing.
Do you have the
Has the
program for
schedule,
the?
and all the
conference?
choices of different breakout
Oh,
sessions.
Mike has the conference book.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the schedule in it, never has the schedule in it.
so I don't
It
know if I
should.
got the
No,
schedule.
not the schedule of what's happening each day. I didn't bring it with me. There's a separate mailing that breaks
I
that
don't know
up.
if
I think do you have that? I think Mike has the booklet.
No, Gordon has the same booklet.
Yeah,
He's saying it's a separate.
Oh, that's a different booklet. You have,
This is what I got.
oh, that's a
in the mail.
different booklet. You have a
But it
different
had
one.
an agenda.
Yeah, that's a different book. It's not the itinerary for the conference.
at the beginning.
Sorry, I didn't bring it with me. It is confusing that there's a separate one.
Oh, but it doesn't say what day, does it?
Yeah. But that's what we were
Oh.
trying to figure out. That's what Mr. Fury was just talking about.
What page is that, Ellen?
It's page
confusing.
2.
It's page 2. Right after,
See if it talks about the resolutions.
6.
Committee reports acquiring action by the delegated assembly. I don't know if this is,
This is at
I
the,
think this is their business meeting, but
Right,
I don't
this is-
think this isn't the
Right.
delegate
this
assembly.
isn't for the whole, the 3-day or 4-day thing. This is for
Here, Mike, you want this
the
back?
MASC annual meeting. Is like one block of it, and this is how they
We
go
can look
through it.
later, it's probably
Yeah.
online.
I have a copy of it. I think they mail it out separately, but
For this purpose, our goal is just go through each one and then give votes, yes or no.
just yay or nay.
Because then at that meeting, Peter represents on our behalf.
Right.
And kind of speaks for the East Bridgewater Committee when they vote as the delegate. So for example, for this one, there was 3 yeses, 2 nos.
One not in attendance.
Right, yeah.
So I think that just doesn't, that ends up not counting, right? He's not here, so that's not an abstain.
No, right, just.
This doesn't count.
He has to he can only look at the votes that are here
Yeah.
and present. And what you'll find, Peter, is that there is an amazing amount of discussion. Even if one of the resolutions is, the sky is blue, and all of a sudden, these people come forward and say, well, you know, at night it's not blue, you know, it's black. It's amazing to me. It's impressive to
fun.
me, it's impressive to me that people are that in the details about it, but you'll find very rarely does something pass as written. So just be ready for that. But at least you'll know how we vote. So we can just move through them quickly.
Sure.
Want to do 2?
It's to increase compulsory attendance age.
I had a question on this. So for instance, at the end, it says, MASC recommends that Massachusetts legislature increase the compulsory attendance age from 16 to 18. What does that do? How does that impact the schools? How does that impact you guys? 16, 18, what changes?
It tries to get more kids to graduation age.
Trying to get some more kids so they won't drop out of school.
Right. It's,
But it would also change our entrance age.
Right.
They can't, right now, they have to be 6 as of September 1st.
Right.
To start first grade. Well, that means we'd have to back that up to whatever graduation, like right now, May 30th is graduation this year. So our June, July, August birthdays are not going to be 18 when they graduate,
Oh, right, some kids are 17 when they graduate.
right?
So,
So then maybe we should say 16 to 17, or, because,
Well, 17 to 18.
well, we're only going to vote yay or nay.
Well, yeah, I mean.
oh,
we
I know,
don't-
but you can ask to make an amendment. You can actually say you'd like to make an amendment to
Yeah,
it.
that'd be good. Let me know if you're going to do that. I'd like to be in the audience.
I think you should
am I
do that.
misunderstanding this as just a guide and not, it's,
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just something for them to, we're just trying to pass along.
if
to
the age was
how we think
changed
about
to
it.
18, it wouldn't mean that students had to be in school, it's just they're, am I misreading it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought these were
Yeah.
Yeah.
rules that
So,
were made. So what you're saying, Amy, is it doesn't mean they have to be in school. It means they cannot, by choice, sign out of their
Right.
education.
Correct.
But they can graduate. They can't, by choice, choose to leave
Drop out.
school prior to age 18.
That's what
Right?
that's what I understood it
Right,
as.
as 16, you can leave school,
Yes.
and a lot of the inner city and the urban
And they do.
schools, people will drop out of school, leave, go to work, and then they try to go back to
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And then we got to bring and then if they're past the age of 18, we don't, if they're 16, you don't have to, you know.
Yep.
So
Right.
there was
There's no
They
obligation
had
to
to
try
go
to
to
keep
like,
them there.
right,
yeah.
they would go to like a,
Well, that information just scared me, but I feel like I will.
Well, there was discussion about this particularly with regards to the more urban schools, because some of the people on the call were saying that some of these, that it becomes inequitable, because some of these kids need to go to work to help support
Yeah.
their families,
it's
and,
disproportionality
Right.
and racial equity.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to.
and then, so the question came about of how do you then deal with that inequity, right? And, you know, I don't know, I'm not here to solve that, but, you know, work-study programs, whatever. At the end of the day, understanding that some needs are different.
And we're going to also hear from, you're going to see some data that when we gave out free junior college or CCRI or Massasoit, and students going into first-year college, it was free. Community colleges going free. They did that for disproportionality to make sure that students were able to go to college who could not afford, who never thought they could obtain a college education. You're going to see data coming out that may support you could give out free college education, and it has not boosted the numbers as they thought it would from the urban communities. It didn't solve the issue, I think, that they were looking to solve. So,
Okay. You want to take a vote on this?
Sure. A yes is to increase the age from 16 to 18. A no would be to leave it as is.
Right.
I'm a yes.
I have a question for,
Okay, go ahead.
I want to ask the superintendent a question.
Okay.
Hey Liz, so do you know, do we have kids dropping out of our district after 16?
our rate is so low that it doesn't register, really. We've had a couple of students, and the same thing that you just said. They either they went to work, or they had to stay home, and they go in our subgroup categories. Unfortunately, it regardless of, there was either a traumatization, there was either something in the home, or no one ever went to college, no one really ever went to school. My father, could be ELL, came from a different country, comes here, and now you're trying to figure your way through.
Thank you.
So we have one yes. Gordon?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
He's just trying to be different.
Resolution 3, safe and storage of firearms. Leave this one for, it be resolved that MASC urges other communities to work with their local law enforcement agencies, health agencies, and nonprofit organizations to collaborate and increase efforts to inform district parents and guardians of their obligations regarding secure storage of firearms in their homes and vehicles. So we've had discussion about that.
I thought this one was interesting because I thought it was really interesting how people felt so strongly about how they could craft a message to encourage parents to just safely secure their firearms. Like it was earth-shattering to ask people to be responsible for their guns. I'm a hard yes on this. There's no reason why we're not telling people if you own a gun, you're responsible for locking it up. That's it. If not, then you should be held accountable.
And this was presented some other time when I was there. And to me, the question came up, this is beyond our authority. I agree with you, it makes perfect sense. I have no problem voting yes, but it's like.
I
is this
feel
really
like
our
we've already
authority?
done it. I believe the superintendent crafted a message
So let's,
or
Chief
spoke
Jenkins.
about it at a meeting.
The Chief Jenkins was here
Chief
when.
Jenkins was here, and we've already collectively as a
Okay.
community shared the
we
message.
should circle back and make sure that we get a, that maybe we host an event with the East Bridgewater Police.
Sure,
Department
that'd be good.
to continue the education process of that, but
Okay, so we got yes, yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Okay.
A resolution for School Bus Stop Arm Surveillance Act and enforcement penalties. And it reads as, therefore it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls for the Massachusetts Legislature to enact legislation to pass into law ability for cities and towns to install and on all school buses live digital video detection monitoring systems for the purpose of enforcing violations against the owner of a motor vehicle whose vehicle failed to stop for a school bus when required to do so. And then this had additional sponsor rationale. The significant safety concerns present when a vehicle passes a stopped school bus embarking or disembarking passengers are endangering our students in Massachusetts. Presently, unless witnessed by a police officer, the penalties for passing a school bus are minimal. If the registration plate of the offending vehicle is reported by a bus driver, there is a minimal fine.
The conversation surrounding this was with regards to private busing services and cost.
Right.
I think it would be less applicable to us, because it's not gonna force
We don't
any of
own
the
our
private
school buses.
companies unowned to put this in place. But again, in the urban environments where I think that there are owned buses, or however they're paid for, that this could be a means to make kids safer and to hold people accountable.
If this were to pass for all of the Commonwealth, we would speak with
Yeah, and that would be a
CD, and
requirement.
that would be
going
our
forward.
requirement to work with them to get them on there. But I understand what you're saying.
So the
I think they should
cost
raise the fines.
related would be.
It would
for-
be on the bus, not us, right?
But they'll pass it on to us.
It gets passed on.
Right.
Okay,
We end up paying for it no matter what.
Yeah.
okay.
But I think what they're trying to do too on this is probably, if they mandate it, the bus companies will start making them for all buses as the buses come out.
Yep.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
It's not all of them have that.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I don't understand how the cost falls onto every district at this point. I want to see our kids safe, but I don't, there's nothing in here that lets us know what will be taken on by each district in order to achieve that if it's passed.
Bus companies would probably increase the
Right, your
increase the
fees.
contract fee.
It would cost, yeah.
It'll cost, yeah.
Yep. Ellen?
If the state wants to fund it, I'm all for it.
Ellen
So if
says
they
yes.
amend that, you can change my vote for me.
I'm a no.
If they amend it on the
I'm a
floor.
no as well.
And what would you say, Ellen?
Yes,
Okay.
so that's 3 and 2.
So I'm open to that discussion if we want to represent a united front. I was wavering. So if we feel like we want to collectively say no, if you need an additional vote, so that we can ask them to put an amendment in to further clarify, I'm happy to say no.
I'll make a note of it.
Please add an amendment.
I can change to no. I'm pretty wish-washy about this one. Like I said, my question all comes around cost
Right.
as well, too.
Right.
So you can ask them to make an amendment on the floor.
Mr. McKibben, no?
No, yeah, I switched to no.
Okay.
You have permission to make
And
an
you've
amendment.
switched to no as well.
Yes, correct. I switched to
Are
no.
you the only yes?
I'll go with the will. I say no, whatever. You can, I say you.
I mean,
ask to
it
make
makes sense, right? So
We have old buses, we don't,
You can ask to make an amendment on the floor.
our buses,
Amendment,
he's replacing them as they go.
yeah.
You won't be the only one asking for amendments.
No,
It would be interesting to understand too, though, if the police are gonna be ticketing people, then does that money then go back to help
I think they
support
should
the
increase the
initiative? Or
fine.
does it, do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
That's on
Right?
us, I know.
interesting, yeah.
like, if the police are gonna ticket
I know,
people
but we
for
can
this
lobby.
offense,
We can lobby for the state.
then
to increase
the
the
town's making money, or the, you know, how does that help offset the cost? I mean, it
Yeah.
really needs
I
more
think it
clarity.
sounds wonderful if there's more clarity on
Do
understanding
we
district
have
cost.
a lot of
Okay.
issues with people following the bus laws in our town, do you know?
Probably
A
sometimes.
lot of reported incidents?
No, well, I don't know how many reported from the
Yeah.
police, but, I mean, once in a while, we'll have an incident.
Yep.
Okay,
Number 5, on school finance, aligning taxing authority with the local, with the required local contribution. This one was, I believe, somewhat discussed with
This is
regards
a-
to
Yeah.
its funding, right? So
This-
I'll read it. Therefore, it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls for the enactment of legislation that would increase a municipality levy limit by the amount of increase of the required local contribution in excess of 2.5, granting the municipality the ability to raise local revenues mandated by MGL Chapter 70. So they want to allow individual communities to go above Proposition 2.5, I guess is the way I would describe it. And I think what they're trying to do is force maybe the Commonwealth to try to find a way to get more funding to the school systems by using this as leverage to say, hey, listen, they'll go above to get the taxing authority the required local contribution it needs. The scary thing is with some of this stuff, in my opinion, is when it gets proposed and then everybody says, yes, we want more money, the ball starts rolling, and then guess what happens? Next thing you know, it passes, and next thing you know, taxes go up because this snowball started. So when I look at some of this stuff, I look at it as it's a stage of a snowball, and how big is it gonna get?
I was a no on this. I agree with Peter. Basically, it heard like they would, what I heard from them is they were using this as a bargaining tool, and it was almost like they're playing chicken.
Yep.
I'd be a no.
I'm a no.
No.
5 no's.
I know they didn't even put a limit on it. They said just go above 2.5, but what,
Unlimited.
right?
Until hearing you explain it, I actually had wrote that, I was like, I'm just gonna abstain. This is like way huge to wrap a head around for how big that could get.
Yeah.
So you guys sharing that little bit made the no easier, because I was like, this has such a major impact on how every town could be affected,
And-
that I did not feel like me could raise my hand and say yeah, vote that for the East Bridgewater.
And Becky,
That feels
my
huge.
concern is, just based off of the people on the call, and do you remember how many people were on the call? Maybe 40?
30? Yeah,
30,
somewhere
40?
around
And representative of just our, area,
Like district
right?
area?
Which includes, I believe, not Chelsea, maybe it was Chelsea, but some, I think a lot of people just say yes and let's pass this stuff. And it's concerning.
Well, right, because more money sounds amazing, but then what? Right? Like, it's not that easy,
It's not that easy.
right?
It just didn't feel like a well thought out plan. It was, we're proposing something to try and get more money, but if that doesn't happen, then we'll just increase taxes. Like, that's
Is
not.
this the bypass
it doesn't-
going for an override? Is this supposed to be like the
This is to
workaround?
bypass an override,
Yeah.
Okay.
my understanding.
Didn't the
Resolution
Arlington, what, didn't, this is from the Arlington School Committee, didn't they at some point propose some override and did it pass, or, I don't know?
Resolution 6, support of legislation to improve the fiscal health of rural school districts, sponsored by some rural school districts. So,
Oh, I know these districts.
yeah. So, whereas, I guess we're the last one. Therefore it be resolved that MASC urges the legislation to pass comprehensive legislation encompassing all recommendations for the Legislative Commission on the Fiscal Health of Rural School Report, a sustainable future schools, rural schools. The final report issued in December of '22, the fiscal health of rural school districts concluded that districts with very low student enrollments cost 16.7 per student more to operate than the state average, in that small K through 12 regional school districts cost about 22.7 per student more to operate.
So, I'm gonna be fully transparent. I don't have my notes. This is all from my recollection
Mine
of
too, yeah.
the call. What I took from this is that they were basically saying that it costs more money to run a technical school than it,
Yeah, that was some of them, yep.
right? And so because of the need for the machinery and equipment and so forth required in those vocational and
That
technical
was
schools.
vocational, this is
Yeah,
rural.
that's the vocational.
That's
technical.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's
I mixed
coming
them
up.
My mistake.
So, my understanding is that there's a possibility that some of the larger metropolitan school districts get a disproportionate amount of funding, and now all of a sudden, rural schools are saying, hey, listen, we need some additional funding as well.
Right.
Us being middle of the road, I feel as though we would probably get pulled from both sides. So if they want to move funding around, it's either going to go to, urban city districts, or potentially to urban, and the towns in the middle like us are probably going to be left to kind of figure it out.
We're not rural, Mr. Chairman. if you go out in western Massachusetts, you're,
Towns with 5,000 total people in it at best.
they have no internet.
Yeah.
We still have kids that are using porta-johns and do not have full electricity that can go all night up in the mountains. And so in the regional school districts. And there are superintendents who go for an hour and a half to 2 hours between their schools through the mountains of the Berkshires and throughout Massachusetts.
That the kids
And
sit on
very
buses
poor.
for.
They're very poor rural school districts. And, you know, they want some funding that, you're absolutely right. They want the funding that the urban school districts are getting. These kids don't, I mean, during COVID,
They didn't have
they don't
Wi-Fi.
have internet. They had no virtual out there.
I appreciate that insight. I didn't really clearly understand that.
Want to vote?
I thought I had a question, hold on. This, though, is not saying anything, I get it, they're asking for a more proportionate amount of money, but this particular thing is about looking at or creating a report, right? Or was the report already created and they're saying, hey, let's act on it? The way I was reading it
So
was it urges them to pass a more all-encompassing report, which of course then later would bring us to talk about money.
No, I think they're looking to get recommendations based on the report.
They want to
Report's
pass
done.
comprehensive.
Report's done. It was done in
Yeah,
December
they
of
want to
22.
pass
Oh,
comprehensive
you just said that, yeah.
legislation encompassing all of the recommendations
All of
from the
them.
report.
But we don't know what all those recommendations are.
No idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the cost of that is and what percentage of our school districts are considered rural. Or
Okay.
our student population in the Commonwealth.
Any other questions? You want to vote, Amy?
I don't feel like we have enough information to vote on it.
Yeah.
So is
They
that
need
no?
help.
I don't
I would
feel like
vote
it-
yes. They need help. I vote yes.
Okay,
I don't know how it will form, but I know they need help.
okay.
I would be a yes, so.
Okay, Gordon's a yes.
I abstain.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable voting on it because
So you
we don't
can
have all the
abstain.
information. I'll abstain.
Okay. Amy?
Yes.
2 yeses, 1 no. 2 abstentions.
So it's still.
You're a no, Peter?
I'm a no.
Okay. 7?
So that's a yes, then you're bringing it.
Yep, I am. Resolution 7, fully adjusting Chapter 70 aid for inflation. Therefore, it be resolved that MASC calls on the Massachusetts legislature to advance legislation mandating inflation index catch-ups to Chapter 70 foundation aid that fully accounts for the realized inflation that has occurred since the passage of the Student Opportunity Act. I think we just saw something this year somewhat related to that. This one seems kind of fairly easy as a yes, in my opinion.
Yes.
I agree.
I say yes.
Right, because over the summer, we saw a response to this, right? And this is a similar thing, is how I understood
Yeah,
it.
we all need, I mean, all schools need more funding.
Yep.
And Chapter 70 goes to all schools, no matter
Right.
what rural, urban, middle. Yeah, okay.
Got us down for 5 yeses?
Yeah.
Unless Are you going to go
No, I'm a yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I think I'm going to write you down as a no.
Okay.
Resolution 8, equitable funding for non-regional school districts with high transportation costs. So,
To me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to me, this is another version of rural, right?
it did feel that way.
Yeah.
So, long distance covered, high transportation costs.
And this came from Plymouth, because it's a huge district, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is from a local place.
But they have to go way out.
All right.
Non-regional school
I have it
districts,
written?
high transportation costs.
Therefore, it be resolved that the state recognizes the financial challenges faced by many non-regional school districts due to their higher transportation costs and longer routes. The state acknowledges that non-regional school districts should have access to financial support similarly to regional districts when costs are extraordinary. A special fund shall be established to provide financial assistance to non-regional school districts with higher transportation costs. This fund shall be known as the Extraordinary Routes Relief Fund. So, again, I think that this could potentially be, who knows what is actually gonna get classified.
You know what comes to mind with this is that out in rural Massachusetts, where the kids are on the bus for over an hour when they're driving all around to go pick up their kids to go to the school.
Yeah, but again, this is put forth by Plymouth, right?
Right, so
like,
they would probably do the same thing.
So Plymouth is dealing with the same thing. The challenge is what actually gets classified as such, right? So again, I think whereas Metro, high density of population, compact in a small area, their transportation costs might be vastly different than what our transportation costs might be. So I'm not saying that we wouldn't be somehow considered as part of this Extraordinary Routes Relief Fund.
So it's saying here that
I doubt it.
annual reporting and adjustment requires school districts to submit annual reports detailing their actual busing costs, the number of buses used, and the miles traveled. Based on these reports, adjust the reimbursements for each district to ensure they are aligned with actual expenses. This approach provides a systematic and fair process to reimburse school districts with extraordinary expenses similar to the circuit breaker process for special education expenses in Massachusetts.
So my thought process on this one was, we have we seem to have done fairly well with extraordinary relief through circuit breaker, and we seem to have a fairly, a very good business manager who can help potentially possibly get us additional funds when it comes to stuff like this. Not saying we're gonna be included in this, chances are we probably won't be included in it, but if there's an opportunity for us to get additional funds, and if we were so allowed, maybe there's a possibility we could.
Once a district's transportation costs exceed a certain percentage of the statewide average, they become eligible for additional reimbursement.
Right.
The state would reimburse a
Do- do-
percentage of the excess costs beyond the threshold.
John, do you have any idea what the statewide average is? Do you have any idea where we lie in the statewide average? Yeah.
We're
so-
probably,
I think this is very vague.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, I mean, I don't know if there's enough information here.
Well, and where does the
Should
money
be
come from? That's what I'm reading all these things and I keep asking myself, these all sound lovely, but where's this money coming from? They're asking for all these things to be on here, but the money is coming from somewhere, like, but where?
They would have to take it
So
from
what would be
something else.
taken away?
Right.
Would it make sense? And that's where I agree with the vague. So this sounds great, but where? Where is that coming
I
from?
think what's happening is that schools have been underfunded.
Yeah.
And anything that has to do with school children from, it's 7 in the morning till 3 o'clock, as they board the bus to when we drop them off,
Yeah.
okay, by law. So, and they use the bus times for that. Anything that has to do with funding a school district is going to be on a resolute for something. So if it's funding, the millionaire's tax was supposed to get everybody's, buy everybody's lunch, right? We know that it's not enough to buy everybody's lunch. So now they're gonna have to come back and figure out what are we gonna do and put in for the money for everybody's lunch, if we want everybody to have free lunch. They
Right.
couldn't do it, right? They didn't do it. So we gotta figure out how they're gonna do it. And that's what's happening in public education, is that it has been underfunded for, prior to this, and now underfunded now. And so they're trying to get these things on the table if it has to do with schools.
I'm going to expect that this won't impact us, but if it's a way to provide money to schools, then.
I just think that that's what they're trying, I think that a lot of these resolutions are trying to do, is that this is school committees. You're trying
I
to
also
get
think
funded.
it's put forth by a fairly local community, and I'm voting yes on this one.
I agree, I'd be a yes.
I'll be a yes. I think the thing to think about is that what I took away from this meeting was that almost all of these are very vague. I didn't find like there was a lot of, and I think it's intentional. I think it's intentional just to start a conversation, to push legislature, and then the detail comes in how that legislature is drafted.
how they're gonna.
Because if they're too, if they're too detailed, then they won't get any kind of legislation approved,
Yeah.
right?
That's absolutely right.
Typically, what you'll hear at the beginning is somebody like a Jason or wherever get up and say, look, this is to give us direction.
Yeah.
This is to just present a concept that we think needs attention. How it gets worked out, that's, because I think people in the room get so detailed, it's like, no, that's not your role. Do you think this is a good idea or not? It's
Right.
kind of how I always think. Okay,
So resolution 6, I'm a yes.
that's 8.
8.
Oh, 8, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Sorry.
4.
Okay.
Becky? 3 choices, yes, no, abstain.
I'm going to abstain on this one, too.
Good.
Okay. 9.
9, Vocational and Technical School Group, Resolution MSBA Grants Evaluation for Chapter 74. Therefore, it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls upon the Massachusetts Legislature and the MSBA to create an evaluated tier system to separately assess the cost of 1 elementary, 2 comprehensive high schools, and 3 vocational, technical, and agricultural schools, resulting to true cost reimbursements for each school category. I think that's the one you were talking about earlier on, Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that this is, you can't look at them all as just one
Right.
type of school.
Chapter 74 gets a lot of funding. Vocational schools get a lot of funding.
Yep.
We could, what they can do at a vocational school, would love to do here and keep some of our kids here. Welding.
So then can I ask you a question then? Can the argument be made that we could improve our technical capabilities if some of that funding came our way?
So there's vocational schools
Right.
for, so
You know what I'm asking?
I know what you're asking. And we have our partners there, and I love the vocational schools. We have many kids that go to Southeastern.
Silver Lake's a
And they're great schools,
vocational.
but they get a lot of funding.
Some high
We
schools
could not handle
Be a regional and vocational.
electrical here. We couldn't, I mean, we could, we have, but their funding is above and beyond.
I'm wondering if this resolution would impact our funding though, because they would then classify us differently. So.
So then you've got to follow. So this is number 9. Number 10 is expansion in capacity in Chapter 74 vocational technical programs. So not only are they being looked at, which I tend to agree, you can't look at each school the same, but here, the very next one is, hey, let's expand,
They want to build more schools
and they will, right, in Chapter 74.
for the workforce, for kids that want to do electric HVAC.
So it's funding and funding for those.
I mean, but I could say no to 9 and yes to 10. Like, I think it's okay to build more
Sure.
schools. I don't want the funding of those schools to impact the funding of my school. And this doesn't say how they are going to then identify how they're going to clearly categorize those schools.
Yep.
We have a shop.
Right? Vocational schools, many, many years ago, were built for students that might have dropped out at 16,
Right.
stayed in school, licensure, and then went out into the work field.
Yeah.
You know, construction, CDL licensure, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, those types of things. Now, this is a choice for all students, many students. The workforce, you know, you go into computers, you might not, I mean, kids that code, kids that make computer programming, kids that make games. I mean, work for a company that is creating games. They do that program at Southeastern.
Yep.
All right, number 9, back to it. So, therefore it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls upon Massachusetts Legislature and the MSBA to create an evaluated tiered system to separately assess the cost of 1 elementary, 2 comprehensive high schools, and 3 vocational technical agricultural schools, resulting in true cost reimbursement for each school category. I think there's one important note here, that they failed to include intermediate schools.
I'm a no.
On 9,
9, yep.
I'd be a yes. Is Ms.
Abstain
Switzerland
again.
gonna vote in the-
I'm not going to abstain again. I feel like I've used my abstains. I've handed those out, we're done. It's like, what is that, it used to be like a game show, right? You can only like pass so many times.
This one's just too vague for me.
What I'm just pausing on for a minute is I understand they're asking to create a system.
Yeah,
They're not saying it absolutely gets used.
correct.
So I'm a yes for creating a system.
Yep,
Okay.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well.
Okay.
Resolution 10, expansion and capacity in Chapter 74 vocational technical programs. Whereas Chapter 74 schools serve a higher percentage of students with IEPs and 504s. We might want to beg to differ, agree with that
Right.
statement. It's just
Yeah.
my opinion.
Same.
And who are more economically disadvantaged than their sending districts, again. And Massachusetts is in need of more skilled trade workers to keep pace with both the growth in industry and the retirement of the current workforce, and all students in Massachusetts deserve the opportunity to pursue the best secondary education available. So therefore it be resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls upon the governor and the legislature to support the expansion of capacity at the current Chapter 74 schools, and to work with districts that lack access to vocational technical schools to create programs, and be it further resolved that the Massachusetts Association of School Committee calls upon the legislature to convene a special commission to consider changes to the current law and regulation relating to the overall authority of the Massachusetts School Building Authority, alternative overall financing structure, standards for project eligibility, appropriate financial assistance based on the nature of the school and the projects being considered, potential differential requirements for elementary, middle schools, comprehensive high schools, and vocational school, technical and agricultural schools, and other matters as affects vocational and technical education. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yes.
I say yes.
I'm a no.
If the capacity to evoke increases, I think that sounds wonderful, to have more kids having that opportunities. How does it impact the cost of a district like East Bridgewater for more kids to go to the Voc? It does change the cost,
That
correct?
means we get less money.
Right.
Would they realistically build another vocational school around here?
Doubt it.
You would,
They wouldn't, would they have the enrollment
They're
numbers?
building capacity within the existing schools as well as
Okay.
additional schools for those districts.
Our enrollment would go down.
Yeah.
If, she caps us at Southeastern caps us, or other schools. There's so many slots that they have now. They want to create more space at Southeastern
Right.
and create
They'll
more
continue to
schools.
get more money.
I'm a no.
I don't know where they would put the kids. I think Southeastern's at capacity now.
They're going to keep building
They want to keep building out there,
onto those schools.
onto those schools.
They must have to go up then.
We have
There's no
lovely
parking. The
space here
parking
that they
lot's
can.
loaded.
However they do it, however they do it.
Yep.
All right, expiring resolutions, we're not going to go
We're not
over
going to deal
that,
with
right?
that. I don't think.
I'm just gonna add that I think that expiring resolutions should all be a no. If they haven't done anything with them by this point, they should just focus on what's in front of them and work on those.
Yep. Agreed?
I wonder why they haven't done anything.
I just haven't, yeah.
That's just what that's just my personal opinion.
Yep. Okay.
Can we go back to the 74 thing for a second? Just because I feel like I'm really torn on this. So, I don't have the answer to it, right? Because I can't solve the world's problems tonight, but like, I don't want our enrollment to go down. I'd rather them give us some money to expand our vocational capabilities.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Let's
the
write a
ratings. Do
resolution.
you know what I'm saying, right?
I
Like-
agree with you, yeah.
Like, that's putting us at an unfair disadvantage, right? But then I feel like it's not fair to say children shouldn't have the opportunity to, right, because we need them in the workforce.
Yeah, it really comes down to whether
I'm
you
gonna,
want.
I'm gonna be a no, I guess. I'm gonna change myself to a no.
And which one was that?
It's just, it's not, I don't know. It's not,
number?
number 10,
Number 10. You're going to no?
yeah, sorry.
It really comes, to me anyway, the way I think of them is, do you want to vote as, obviously, the East Bridgewater School Committee?
Right. Or as a
do you want to
human?
vote as a citizen of
Right.
Massachusetts?
Right.
And so some, I vote as a citizen and say, hey, this makes sense, it'll have to get worked out. And some I vote and say, yeah, that, we can't do that, not for us anyways. Okay. Great. We all set with that?
Well, do we want to look at any of these expiring?
No.
No. No. I don't.
Nope, absolutely not.
Okay.
What you all agree on.
Well, there might be some important ones in there.
There are.
If they were important, they would have made sure that something happened to them.
Okay. So I'm
What
gonna,
is listed as poverty in children? Yeah, it's probably important, but it expired.
we all set then, Peter? We move
I'm all
on?
set.
Okay. SuperVal software, I already mentioned, we all did our follow-up training. We'll do another follow-up in February. Anything else on that, or can we
Yeah,
move on?
that was the one I had requested that too, because whether it's one of us or the committee for the superintendent's goals just needs to go in and can just look at what was input as the goals and make sure that we are in agreement with how they were put in and that they match the goals that we voted on.
Okay.
So I'm happy to do that for that committee if that's wanted. I don't know if that's like a 3-person job or just a 1-person type of job,
No,
but
I think one set of eyes, if you see something that's different, sure.
yeah, it's really just to make sure that we, like a checks and balances, that it was put in and that we understand it and read it the same way.
It looked okay to me, but I didn't take a magnifying glass to it, so by all means, if you want to look at it,
Yeah,
tell us
it's
if it's
definitely
lined
not
up.
it is not anything about how it was inputted. It was
Okay.
more just making sure from the checks and balances place that the committee
Okay,
is also saying, yep, that's what we said.
all right, thank you. Want to move on from that, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I had proposed, the last meeting brought up the concept of creating a safety subcommittee. I think in today's day and age, unfortunately, we just have to be more involved in this process. Not that things aren't being done, and I've been to the Alice training, and it's really impressive, but even looking through the policies, there's policies about safety and all that. As a committee, I think we should have eyes on it and be able to walk around and have conversations with the superintendent and with the police chief about, hey, how does this work, or what else should we be doing, kind of thing. So I think the only people so far that have stepped forward on that was myself and Becky, am I right?
Yep,
Anyone else want to join that? Otherwise, it'll just be myself and Becky.
and Peter.
And, oh, Peter, you want to be on it? Okay. And Becky. And Peter, okay. All right, super. And then creation of the school committee for new member orientation subcommittee. Amy said that she would volunteer to be on that one, because I think on a go-forward basis, that makes a lot of sense. Not that I think there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting with it, but I do think someone to have eyes on it to make sure it's up to date, we haven't missed anything. Anyone else would be great if somebody with some, Amy's obviously new this year. Anyone else? Ellen might want to step on that, so you'd have an experienced person
Should we
and,
volunteer Peter since he's not, oh.
or Peter, whatever, yes.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I meant to say,
Volunteer Dan.
should we volunteer Dan since he's not here?
We're not here, that opens the door.
I'll be a consultant.
So I kind of
I
like
didn't
the,
open that up as an option.
I kind of like the idea of, of newest members kind of passing that torch each time, because they would have been the
Okay.
ones who initial went through it, to be able to look at it through that lens of, did we catch it all? Is there something I wish I knew?
Yeah, they can always, I don't mind being available for questions and stuff. I just don't want to add another extra thing to my plate right now.
Okay. All right, so right now it's Amy.
Can it be a subcommittee of one?
That means you can't talk to yourself.
We can ask Dan.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure
can
he'd
ask
have
Dan.
some
Okay,
feedback.
ask-
Yeah, and I don't mind.
Especially because it's not a heavy-hitting committee, but it's one
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And if you have questions, I don't mind making myself
I
available.
have a question now, actually. So for this subcommittee, I think I do, but do I have the ability to create a subfolder under Liz's shared folder and put new member orientation materials in that folder for future organization? I think I do.
If not, I can put it there for you, or give you access.
Okay. I'll check, but if I can't, I'll follow up with you, but I just want to make sure that you are all comfortable with that. Like, I feel like having a one spot to direct new members to would be probably helpful.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Thank you. Okay, and we'll follow up
Would
with
they be
Dan.
PDFs
I'll
in
ask
there?
Dan.
Or Google Docs, or,
So
I don't know if you can put
you
PDF.
can create Google Docs that have no edit, like that people aren't allowed to edit,
Okay,
so they wouldn't be able to make updates to them, but whoever the creator was
can make up.
can make updates.
Good.
And you can transfer ownership, whether the ownership is the school secretary or somebody that's gonna be longstanding.
Yeah.
Or then when people are outgoing, that committee then transfers ownership of those documents to whoever the new subcommittee people are. Or alternatively, they can be PDFs too, but I'm gonna continue the argument for PDFs aren't useful tools, you can't update them. If we're gonna have evolving policies and procedures, you should be able to make updates, whether it's just by one person.
Yeah, I like the
And they should
idea
be
of
in
it.
one collective place.
I like the idea of it being not editable by everyone. That's good.
Like,
Okay.
for example, I shared with Gordon a tickler. He likes that word. An example of what a tickler could look like. He wanted something to track things we needed to follow up on, and I made it so that only myself and/or Gordon could edit it, nobody else could. Or that Gordon could provide me feedback and I could edit on his behalf. So there are options to limit people, making multiple edits or so forth.
Okay, thank you. School council's remarks on the mission statement. I think the only one we've gotten back is from the Central School Council, is that correct? And did that subcommittee agree with those two? It looked like they were pretty,
I think they just came in.
Yeah,
right?
we didn't
haven't
meet
met
and talk
since,
about
right.
oh,
them.
you haven't, okay. So you want to just bring that up in the next meeting? Because we haven't heard from the high school or the middle school, correct? So maybe we can send a note just to remind, I don't know when they meet, must be
I
meeting.
think the high school was the overarching, so I didn't think that did they have a separate one? Or that they were just following the overarching?
have a separate
When we were looking for feedback from Central and Mitchell.
I'm nice and neat.
So we can take this and then loop it into what we've already established, and then maybe send Michael and Liz another refresh that then could be
Okay.
shared back as a reminder. I'm happy to
Yep.
do that.
And then we should just remind the middle school and the high school if they have any
Yep.
feedback. Right. So that, be nice to be able to, I don't know if we can wrap it up in November, but certainly by December, we should be able to.
The goal, when we initially talked over the summer, the goal that we thought was realistic, was that at the November
November.
meeting, we'd be wrapping it up, so hopefully
Yep.
we see that come true.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Correspondence from the Kiwanis Club, which was to reimburse us, or reimburse $1,000 to help support enriching summer programs for students. It's just a matter of us accepting the $1,000, or am I not reading that correctly?
No,
No,
giving
we
it
have to give
back.
it back.
Or we have to give it back?
So I had a
Oh.
question about this. I'm assuming you would have put it in, but I don't want to assume too much. You can assume. When a check was provided to the East Bridgewater schools, was there a note in response to your initial message that said, this check is solely for PCC?
No.
Okay.
So I was a little hurt, thinking that I did something dishonest. The letter went out. We know over the past few years, PCC has been declining in enrollment, and they've tried additional things to keep the program alive. So 2 years ago, we added to the letter that it would be other enriching activities, such as the Bridgewater State University summer program. So when checks came in the same conversation I had with our Education Association, that even if PCC is not in existence, that money would go towards the summer enriching programs, and they were fine with that. So I was a little upset that it wasn't even a conversation, it was just reimburse us the money because you didn't have PCC. So I wanted to explain to them that it was kept because the intention was, from my letter, it would be used not only for PCC, but it would be used for Summer Science Academy at Bridgewater State University.
I felt like your letter made it quite clear.
Which, by the way, is really hard to get into because so many kids want to go to it.
Right.
Like the enrollment, like they fill up so fast.
It does, it fills up super fast. So,
it be-
but I'm thinking that they only wanted PCC, so that's why the reimbursement is happening. I just wanted to give them an explanation why I didn't reimburse the money right away when PCC
Sure.
didn't happen.
Be nice if, off of hearing that from you, they might say, oh, you know what, then keep it. If not, then.
Do you think, are
trigger
we
the
gonna have
reimbursement.
PCC again this next coming summer?
We have a
Are we
meeting
don't-
next week.
Oh, maybe they just don't realize that, that it's not just.
Well, it seems quite clear in the letter that it was for different types of programs, and that I feel is unfortunate that the Kiwanis would make that decision, or someone there made that decision to not provide what was clearly stated in the letter for the reason for asking for some donations.
This was sent on October 1st, this is the 15th, have you heard any?
Has the letter come down? I mean, not the letter, the check. Okay, so we had to wait for the check to come down, so I'm not sure if the letter has been sent.
Oh, okay.
Right, were we waiting for the check from Town Hall so that the letter could be sent with the check?
Right, so maybe Gina's letter explaining it isn't sent, but we can see clearly here that it was
Yeah.
quite clear why the funds were asked for in the first place.
Okay.
Okay. So we're in
Maybe I
back.
can just, because I happen to know the treasurer, but maybe I can go back and just inquire, because maybe they just didn't remember this letter and everything that was written in it. So maybe I can check tomorrow morning just to inquire and then get back to you right away.
Sure.
Maybe we can, I'll make a clarifying call.
We've already put the purchase order in for the reimbursement, because, like I said, I didn't want it to be an argument if
Well,
the
she
money
had called me,
was
I
for.
I didn't know about this letter, so she had called me sometime over the summer to ask who she gets in touch with to get reimbursed, since there's no PCC. But I wasn't aware of this, otherwise I would have said, oh, what about blah, 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 whatever. So I feel like I should go back and just do a little explanation. So maybe they'll change their mind. I don't know.
Thank you for
Wouldn't
being
hurt.
so thorough, Dr. Williams.
I think I might change your vote to the yes
Like, oh, what are you talking
then.
about?
That I put you down from now on.
Thank you for doing that, Ellen, thank
Good
you.
job, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so getting to the policies, what we discussed earlier, which group of those, because I didn't check them off on my, we've already
The ones
addressed?
that we've already gone through
Is that the
are located on,
The middle section.
middle section? Okay.
starting in page 2,
EA, EB,
nope, D,
JE.
yeah, I'm sorry, 3. BA,
yeah.
BB, BBBE,
Why are we doing these again?
Or not.
We're
I
not,
just want to
he's
make
asking
sure
which ones.
I
It's-
got them,
It's, the-
all the way down, Gordon, to
Yeah.
EEAG on the following page.
right, great, thank you. So those are all set.
Yes.
The ones, the group prior to that, is that?
I'm gonna go through
That's in
that.
your notes that you referenced, right?
no, I have no notes on
Ellen's
this.
gonna be
I'm gonna go
doing-
through these.
yeah, Ellen's doing,
Okay, so,
So DJE, Mr. Shea has been patiently awaiting this one for quite some time. DJE, which is procurement requirements, and that we had our attorney look at a couple of times, and it was just, so the language was changed, and because the law changed, and then we went back, we didn't, they wanted to do 100,000 instead of 50,000, so that's what happened.
Is this package organized in the same order as what's on this agenda?
They might not be.
No.
DJE is, let's see, do we want to go in order by the packet? Would that be easier for everybody? We can,
What?
to go in order by the packet as opposed to the agenda, so we'll go out of order. Out of
Well,
order,
why are they broken up as like, first reading of proposed change, new policies, okay. I'm gonna just throw this out there. I'm gonna make a motion that we move new policies to the next meeting. We're gonna go
So the
through
new
brand new
policies-
policies we've
well-
never read before.
well, the new policies are, they're Title IX. Those are, let's see,
I just think we need to
ACAR.
prioritize.
ACAR is the Title IX, and that's a law change, so we shouldn't have any changes to that or anything. And then the EFE, Civil Rights Complaint Policy for Child Nutrition Programs, that's also a law change. And then EHAA, District Security Relating to Technology, that's not a law change. And then that just provides foundation for administrative procedure and practice. And then EHB is data and records retention. That's also just, that's a gap in recommended policy regarding retention of records. But that, I don't know that there's a law, I'd have to look at it, see if there's a law associated with it. But off the top of my head, I don't know until I look at it.
Okay, so on the new policies, I would recommend that if it's a straight law change and we have to adopt it, it could be straightforward. The other two, we can table for next meeting, EHAA and EHB, if somebody feels any different.
Okay, let me see, let me just check EHB really quick.
And so that'll lead us back to this first group, starting with DJE, which I know we've been waiting for, is the change of dollar amount.
We're gonna go in order by, the packet?
No, go on order by what's on the agenda. So we'd start with DJE. Get this whole section out of the way.
I have to go through and find it.
DJE is kind of smack in the middle. There's a page that on the left, it says number 19, and then DJE is right after it. It's, I don't know, it's kind of,
The top
it's
right-hand
kind of
corner, it
like right
says
in the middle.
MASC with attorney changes. Looks like this.
Here it is.
Yes.
I have my
DJE,
notes.
I
so
see it.
I'm ready to vote on it, but if you have it in
DJE?
front of you now?
Oh, I have it, I'm all set.
Okay, all right.
Well,
So-
DJE, well, on DJE, I move that we waive the second reading process on this, the second reading and vote DJE on the first reading. That's what I move that we waive the two reading process on DJE.
I'm in favor. I don't know if, can I second something?
I'll second it.
Yeah,
Okay,
you can second something.
okay, great. Any other discussion? Somebody want to do it differently?
John, do you have anything to say about DJE procurement?
It just revises our policy to be in line with the law, procurement law.
Okay,
You explained the last time we talked about this, which I think was like late spring. I can't remember at the moment. What it makes, when you have to go out for something, it makes, the extra steps or it eliminates steps when we raise this? I can't remember which way it
Eliminates
was.
steps. When I.
It eliminates steps, okay.
It eliminates steps.
Yeah.
When I go out to bid, I have to file a newspaper ad, I have to file with the state, I have to file with another state agency.
Yeah.
I have to create the bid. What this does, it just makes it easier. I still have to do a scope of service
Yep.
or specifications that are equal, but now it just allows me to get 3 quotes.
Yep.
okay.
Thanks for that refresher.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is this a group that as a whole committee, you didn't go through it?
No, we did not.
Did not. So you're in favor, you want to table this, although it's pretty
I
straightforward.
mean, at this point, we're here, I think we should go through what we have to go through. I just feel that we were setting up subcommittees for a purpose.
Sure, yep.
And I feel like it makes the process longer if the subcommittees aren't meeting and collectively providing everybody feedback to vote on.
Okay,
And so in the interest of time, I understand that Ellen, you have a long list of policies you want to get through, but I would just like to encourage the use of the subcommittee procedures that we were going to try and use, because I feel like it'll impact this meeting
okay.
and not have us extend into, longer nights. If we come to you prepared with, well, like we had the notes
These notes, those are
from the
very
last
helpful.
one, that I think
Yep.
were pretty
Okay.
clear on what we were suggesting, rather than going through them piecemeal, I think it will save significant time moving forward.
All right, well, this one, DJE, this would be helpful for you, John, right? Okay, I would single this out and say I'd certainly be in favor of voting on this tonight.
Okay.
Okay,
Just from a point, did we vote first already? Did
To
we take a
waive.
vote yet?
To waive the two
To
reading
waive the
process.
two reading? And we voted on waiving the two reading.
We did a motion and a second, but I don't think we
I
voted.
think we did a motion in a second, but I don't think we did a vote.
oh, okay,
And Mr. Spear, it's just on waiving
The
two
second
reading
reading
process.
of DJ.
of DJE.
okay. Did we do, I don't remember raising my hand, did I do that?
Because we discussed.
Alan made the motion and Mr. Spear is second.
Okay, so all in favor of waiving the second reading?
Aye.
Aye. And,
Motion to accept.
nice. All right, Peter's really getting into the swing.
Second.
Great. Any other discussion?
No.
Vote to pass? Those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Votes. Okay.
So the next
with
one's,
that.
AC, non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation, ACR, non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation, ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex, and ACAB, sexual harassment, are all
In
Title
order.
IX.
And they're all in order.
They're all Title IX. And they're updated language based on the law.
I make a motion on, and that would be AC, ACR, ACA, and ACAB,
Yes,
that we forego a second reading.
yes.
I second.
What does that mean exactly?
Because
So-
it's we don't, usually we would read them multiple times, just as a way to create discussion and make sure it's checked off. But in these ones specifically, because they have to be changed because of the law, like,
Okay.
that's not a East Bridgewater school choice.
We don't have choice in any of these ones.
So reading them twice, we could, but we can waive it if it's going to have to change anyway.
And just from my learning process, I apologize, how do I know that they're Title IX?
Because they came in on the Title IX newsletter, and that's how they were listed. And I don't, they might have, well, they probably didn't call them out by name in the policy in July. We had a newsletter that came out in July that talked about Title IX and may or may not have listed these, but they came in a newsletter with these. They needed to be updated, the Title
Yeah.
IX
So
policies.
this mailing came out in August, and they had a whole section on, I don't know if they identify them by letters, but they probably do, so.
Were you getting that? Are you getting those newsletters yet? It took me about a year to get newsletters, so,
Oh, still no newsletters? I know, because Dan said you guys hadn't gotten, so, okay.
so that, it creates obviously a disconnect.
I'll follow up with MASC and find out. I'm going to assume Dan's in the same boat. I mean, mailings. Okay.
So the motion was to
Waive the second
waive the
reading.
second reading.
Yeah, that was the motion.
Did anybody second it?
I did.
Yep,
Aye.
discuss, okay.
Aye.
All in favor. So waive,
So now
Second
we have to
reading.
make the motion to accept them.
Approve.
yep,
I make a motion.
We were just waiting for you, I'm sorry.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
I make a motion to accept the following school committee policies.
As written.
As written for AC, ACR, ACA, ACAB.
So moved.
so we made the motion. Did somebody second?
I
Second.
second.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
No,
Okay.
not for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
You're going to abstain? You have that, Mike? Amy abstained?
So AC, ACR, ACA, and ACAB. 4 yes, 1 abstention.
And that's still a majority, okay, right.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so on the remainders, what I would suggest, based on Amy's suggestion, is that,
Well, hold on, wait. Let me get to BBBC.
What one?
BBB,
School committee
C.
member resignation.
yeah,
I
wait.
don't think Gordon's going there yet with what he's saying, though.
BBBC. It was
ACA.
updated language. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 that have updated language, and then there's 1 that's just a formatting. Well, actually, and so, I don't want to skip around, though, because on IJ, I'll just go to the bottom where it says IJR, at the almost second to last of this section. So that one is added, so, because I don't know, are you going to say to bring these back to the next meeting?
yes.
Okay, so on IJ-R, reconsideration of instructional resources, because we were going through the high school handbook and they removed the reconsideration of challenge materials procedure, that procedure has to live somewhere. And if it's not going to live in any handbook, it has to live in our policy manual, and it should be under this policy. And I think it was the attorney that I talked to, I'm pretty sure I called the attorney about that, I have to look at my notebook. But that's how I know that the procedure has to live somewhere.
Okay, well, that's fine. I just think the collection of these ones on the rest of this group, that when you folks meet, you can walk through them all, make sure you're all comfortable with, come with your recommendations, and next meeting, we can just approve them or, waive the second reading and approve them then, so, and be done with them. So it doesn't sound like it's gonna be too much involved there.
Well, the whole reason why I didn't, I'm just gonna say this, the whole reason why I didn't bring these policies, because they were simple, updated language, and that's why I didn't bring them.
Yeah, no, and I understand, but I also understand Amy's point, that, the reason to have the subcommittee is to do these things, and I think with a little bit of adjustment, we can address them at the next meeting and be done with them, so.
Ellen, if there was just the one with formatting, would you feel better if we just got that one out of the way? What was the
I would feel
formatting?
better if they all got out of the way, because after this, I have to
think she's
go
trying to
and,
say she wants to get them all
I
out of
have
the
to
way.
actually go and change them all and then send them to the lady, but I don't want to send them to her in piecemeal. So now, because that's a waste of my time, because I have to send her, I just don't want to do that. But
mean,
I
you
will
take
if
a
I have
look
to,
at
so.
if you look at triple BC, it's not very lengthy, nor is EBCB, right? That one's actually, does that have the changes listed?
BB. This teaches us a lesson. We have the orders. The BBBC,
Yeah, so that changes like town to municipality,
yeah. And, well, the thing that got changed,
that number.
it says the appropriate certifying authority in the MASC version.
I mean,
So-
it's probably like 20 pages from the very back.
You can just hurry and get them done.
But I agree with you on some of them that are easy, but I agree with Amy that that's why we have a subcommittee.
What is the change to BBBC?
If you take a look at the left and versus the right.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't understand that.
Yep, that's okay.
So the changes were, you can see the ones that are out in blue or black or whatever they are.
The right one is
But
the
then-
old one, the left one's the new one, right?
Yeah, and then the change is, or district in after municipality.
Yeah.
See how it says,
I'll make a
out
mo-
of the,
I'll make a motion to forego second reading of BBBBC.
Second,
okay,
I'll make oh, sorry, Gordon. So motion in favor of foregoing second reading.
Okay,
For B.
Do you want to look at these too?
I don't
Or are you gonna do
all
it
right,
one at a time?
so a vote, yay?
know.
Okay,
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the new language for BBBC.
Second.
okay, any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
I was afraid with this one that somebody was then going to say, well, now I resign, but that's okay. So, passed. Okay,
So, again, I just want to add that because we're doing this live, right, and we're going to say we're going to accept the small changes to it, it then doesn't allow for a broader discussion to say, does this actually encompass everything that we want it to say? To your point, there's people resigning from school committees left and right in the news right now.
Yep.
So, does that mean that a conversation should happen from the broader subcommittee about how our policy reads in relation to that?
I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have the policy right in front of me, I just have my notes. It's pretty generic, so I don't think it'd be
Right.
prohibited.
Well, there's another policy, I don't remember what the policy is off the top of my head, that talks about, and I think we already approved it in the first thing, but I don't know what the number was. But there's a policy that talks about the procedure, it discusses the procedure of what should happen after someone vacates their position.
I don't think we've talked about that one since I've been on the committee.
No, it's a different, let me see.
I would make a point that all of these other ones,
I know I saw it somewhere.
Require additional conversation.
From this point out, the rest of them require additional conversation.
Okay,
or work under the subcommittee.
right.
I know I remember seeing it.
All right, so let's just, for the sake of time,
what it was.
let's just group these last group together. You guys will talk about it, come back the next meeting, and we'll just go through them. They're all pretty straightforward as far as my notes are concerned. So.
So it looks like it's gonna be EB,
Except for IJ-R.
except for, hold on, we'll get there. Wait, you want discussion of that one tonight?
Yeah, because I had to take the reconsideration for challenge materials procedure, and because it's not in the high school handbook anymore, and now it's not in the policy either, it has to,
I remember when we talked about this in subcommittee, and we, I think, agreed as a subcommittee that we needed to make sure that it was included in ours, right?
yeah, and that's why it's here today.
Okay, so, so can we say we're gonna work on, in subcommittee, EB through EFD and include KE?
Well, okay, so EFC and EFD, the law was updated.
Yep, see how it says completely revised, updated language and so forth?
Yeah, the law was updated.
Yeah,
So
so
we still have to follow it.
regardless, we have to follow it, I think,
We can do it next month,
right.
okay?
Just like many of these, the law has already happened, and we've got to abide by it. There'll be a number of these that the law has already happened, we're abide by it. But it sounds like IJ-R, you want to have discussion over tonight?
I would like to approve it tonight.
Okay,
Oh, approve it tonight. Okay.
so all the ones you just listed off, you're making a motion that we table those? for
Table those
subcommittee.
until subcommittee can have discussion.
Okay. And did anybody second that?
Second.
And did anybody have discussion? Otherwise, does anybody vote in favor of that?
EB to what?
Aye.
Aye.
To EFD, and KE is included. So the one that we're gonna work on right now is the one that you want to work on.
All right, so, but you guys
Do you
didn't
need me to
vote.
send you a
wanna
list?
Aye.
table? Aye.
Yep.
You want to say no, or you want to?
To table, we're tabling those. Yes.
It's fine, whatever.
Yep.
I think
Ellen
this is,
votes a resounding yes
yeah.
on that.
I think this is the transition to the committee work. I think one of the things that Ellen has done exceptional for the committee in her time
really has.
is policies,
Yeah.
right? But Ellen's been, even though there's been a subcommittee, that's been a bit of a silo. And what we're shifting here.
I was trying to save the subcommittee.
I completely get your intention. I really do. That's why I want to like commend that piece of it. I think in the shift of what we're trying to do overall with how our committee functions, we're saying, well, no, that's a group responsibility.
Right.
And moving forward, just for institutional knowledge, it can't just all live in your head, right? Like that's not gonna benefit a committee 5 years from now. I think it's exceptional what you've done in your time on the committee with policies. I sincerely mean that to you. It just can't all live with you, you know? So I think I can understand where this this is probably, I think, of this change with how the committee works. This is, I think, one of the biggest changes, is how that works for you, because you've just been a silo. But I thank you for that, even though I know that we're all saying, slow down.
Okay,
Just
so,
wanted to express that out loud to you.
so what do you propose on IJR?
I propose that we accept it.
Okay. So,
I just need to find it again.
what's
I
the
need to find it,
process?
'cause I don't know where it is.
Somebody will make a
We have to
motion?
waive this two-reading process, and
I make a motion to waive the two-reading process for IJR.
All right.
there it is.
Anybody,
IJR's on the second page.
anyone
I
want to
second.
second that? Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, you want to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right,
Aye.
and now we
You can
need a
see the
motion.
procedure for reconsideration of challenge
Is it in red at the
materials is,
bottom?
yeah, it's all in red.
Right, got it. I didn't have any notes on that one,
Me neither.
but, okay.
And all we're saying is it's getting added back into this because it's not living in a handbook?
Correct. So it needs to be part of the school committee policy, because if it's part of our policy, then it has to be part of this district's policy, correct?
As written?
As written.
Okay. Okay, so did we make a motion to vote on that?
Not yet?
Okay, someone want to
I'll
make a motion?
motion
Okay,
to accept
IJR,
IJR with the, what's that called? The amended version of IJR to include the language so put forth.
okay,
I second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Passed. Okay. You got all that, Mike? Sorry. Why, you still awake?
Aren't you glad you were voluntold for this one?
If he comes tomorrow,
Okay, all right, and so what we then did on that last group, that starts with ACA-R,
Yes, that's that's Title IX.
so that's law change, and EFE is law change. We didn't vote
Yes.
on that,
We have not voted on those.
okay?
No.
But the last two, EHAA and EHB, we're gonna move to next meeting. So you want to deal with these two, the first two, ACAR and EFE?
I say yes.
Well, we gotta have a whole
I'll
process.
make a motion to waive second reading for ACA-R and EFE.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
I
now,
make a motion to accept as written ACA-R and EFE as new policies.
and
Second.
second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I'm going to abstain.
abstain. You got that, Mike? Amy abstained?
sorry, was that,
ACAR and EFE. Yep, correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. And the other two, EHAA and EHB, we're gonna move to next meeting.
Along with the
Okay.
others, yep.
I know.
And now
It's been
we're
presented, I just don't feel-
into action items. The final stretch here. So actions required after review on payroll warrants 11 PS dated 9/11/2024 and 13 PS dated 9/25/24.
And Michael, you have those for us to sign?
So moved.
Yeah, okay.
Why
And
didn't you say it?
Second.
Oh.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Okay. I'm just looking to make sure I have the one dated 13 PS. Where's 11 PS? So I have it in my packet here.
You need one?
Yeah, if you have them,
You needed which one?
It's this,
11 PS? Okay, I got that one now. Okay, so, we took the motion, a second, all in favor? Aye, we passed that?
Yep.
Right, okay. Action required after review of accounts payable 12 SW 9, 18, 2024, I believe, or however that's dated, and 14V dated 9/19/2024.
So moved.
So moved by
Second.
Peter, second by Becky.
I think .18.2 is part of the, I think that's part of the file name too. The 12SW918.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why is that file number different, John, do you know? No? Okay. All right, we see the numbers, okay. So, all in favor, passing
Aye.
those?
Aye.
Amy, you want to vote on that one?
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Aye, okay, good. We're all set
So,
there.
the, oh, never mind. Go ahead, Sorry.
Approval of September 10, oh, we don't have these minutes, that weren't part of our package, so we're gonna, that's not available.
Tabled.
So we're gonna skip that one.
I'm looking at-
Approve the September 26th Standing Committee to update policy meeting minutes.
And-
We don't, as a whole committee, vote on that. It's
No, just the policy
Just the
subcommittee.
policy subcommittee. You want to vote on it, or?
Those are the minutes that accompanied the first set of policies, right? Can I make a motion to approve my own minutes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A motion to approve the subcommittee,
Second.
standing committee to update policy minutes from September 26th, 2024.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. It's just us three.
Aye.
Okay, it passed. Great.
Are you the chair of that? Or you were in that one?
Yeah, but it's okay if she,
Action is required to approve the homeschool education plans as reviewed and recommended by Assistant.
oh, wait a minute, we didn't do, is the goals one not on here?
It's coming up, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it's coming up. So homeschool, this, presented by
Take mine.
Gina,
I'm giving you mine.
and it was just the, is it 4 names on that? Gina?
Yes.
Just the 4?
Motion? Was there a motion?
Yep.
No,
no
it
one's
has to be
a
made.
motion yet.
I make a motion to approve the home education plans
Second?
for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
right.
Aye.
And thank
Okay.
you, Dr. Williams, for, I feel like this is, it's got to be a lot of work to go through all of those, so I appreciate that.
Sometimes it just makes families a little bit longer, their school years end up running a little bit longer, so to get progress reports from last year and then get new plans approved for this year. So
All the batteries
Yeah.
are running out. Okay, so I think did we already vote and give John the ability to,
Yep,
Yes.
the surplus box truck, van, and old piano labs? Yep.
yep.
Actions required to update fiscal year 23, 24, 25 school committee goals.
I think we did that already.
We did that too.
Did we?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, because we're going to do it, okay, that was
And it was
approved.
passed around for signature.
Yep, it
Okay.
should have landed.
And we approved all the resolutions such as we voted, so that's all done.
Yep.
Okay?
Motion to adjourn.
And,
No, sorry.
Okay.
Do you have reminder items?
no, go right ahead.
Yes, one, we have election day coming up, and we should remind people that it's important to get out and vote.
Okay, I agree. As Americans, we have that vote, that right, and we should exercise it. That's how a democracy and a republic works.
All of our
Okay.
schools are closed that day, correct?
What?
Well, because they're for students.
I don't think so.
Yep.
Did
Okay.
you take it?
All right, so Amy made a motion to close.
Second.
I'll second. Peter can have it. He took
All
it
in
first.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry we ran so late, but
I'm sure it's in there.
Got a lot
You can
done.
have my copy, it's fine.
I like to have everything.